One Piece Justice, Chapter 281-300. Chapter 281, The Holy Land Rebellion. After leaving the barrel, the special cannonball rushed up at a fast speed. At the same time, under the influence of the devil fruit ability, the size of the cannonball increased rapidly, and the depth was getting faster and faster. It was about to reach the Holy Land Mariajoy. At that time, ordinary shells have become behemoths. Section Magazine Bugs Section _________. The world on the island ship hadn't stopped. One more cannonball. World shot out another cannonball, one after another, and only after 10 cannonballs hit the world did it stop, and the barrel was already fired. Yuhi was issued. If it weren't for the unsupported barrel, I'm afraid world would keep firing shells. Soon, 10 gigantic cannonballs landed and smashed down towards the Holy Land Mariajoy. The huge cannonballs closed the sky and blocked the sunlight. The sky suddenly became dark, and the people in the Holy Land lifted up one after another. Headed up and looked up. What is this? A world government official looked at this scene in horror. This is a cannonball. Hurry up and escape. Another official recognized what it was and ran away in panic. If the cannonball were to die, what kind of power would it be? Nobody knows. The Holy Land Mariajoy panicked in an instant, and all the people fled out frantically, especially Tenryubito, who also fled frantically under such circumstances. Hurry up and protect me, get out of here immediately. Tenryubito shouted frantically to his guard, and left quickly with the guard's company. Get out of the way, I'm Tenryubito, get out of the way. At this moment, the ugliness of the Holy Land Mariajoy was revealed. The moment the cannonball appeared, the strong man stationed in the Holy Land discovered the situation here. Report to Lord Gorosei, 5 elders, someone has invaded, suspected world destroyer, Burndy world. Yes. A man in black immediately left the place and went to the Gorosei, 5 elders office to report. The rest of the people, join me to stop these cannonballs. If these cannonballs explode in the Holy Land, it will be difficult for us to atone for our sins. The guards of the Holy Land began to act. Rangkyaku, Tempest Kick. The powerhouse of the Holy Land began to take action, and a shocking slash slashed towards the huge cannonball in the air. Others also took action one after another, and for a while, the sword chi danced wildly, and everyone who had the ability to attack from afar took action. The Holy Land began to show its power. The power of the world government for so many years is not so simple. A large number of strong people began to emerge, and they attacked the huge cannonballs that fell. For a time, the cannonballs also exploded in midair. Boom! The huge explosion caused a huge shock wave. Although the Holy Land did not directly suffer from the power of this explosion, it was also under the influence of the shock wave and became embarrassed. Gorosei, 5 elders office. Gorosei, 5 elders also noticed the turmoil here. It seems that the madman from Burndy world did it, and only his fruit ability can do such a big cannonball. How are you going to block it? Said the knife-wielding Gorosei, 5 elders, already intending to do it. Don't worry, let them suffer first. They are too presumptuous during this time. You know, they are no longer Tenryubito. Now, we are the leaders of the world government. Said one Gorosei, 5 elders. Well, then leave a cannonball to explode at close range and let them lose. Said the blonde Gorosei, 5 elders. Then I'll trouble you, later. Said the scar Gorosei, 5 elders to the knife-wielding Gorosei, 5 elders. Leave it to me, said the knife-wielding Gorosei, 5 elders. The explosion is still going on outside. Although the powerhouses stationed in the Holy Land have already taken action, the most powerful among them is an admiral, who is still a fruit person and does not have large-scale tricks. The others are vice-admiral. A powerhouse of the level, such a person can only work together to destroy the shells. For a time, the Holy Land was in chaos, and a large number of people died. The most dead were those nobles. The nobles and Tenryubito suffered heavy losses in this situation. Gorosei, 5 elders watched this scene, completely unmoved. For this kind of casualty, Gorosei, 5 elders have seen too much. Even if Tenryubito died, it doesn't matter to them. It's time, you can shot. Said the blonde Gorosei, 5 elders. Indeed, the loss is enough, and if there is more, the face of the world government will be lost. Said the scar Gorosei, 5 elders. Excuse me, said the remaining Gorosei, 5 elders, looking at the Gorosei, 5 elders with the knife. Leave it to me. The Gorosei, 5 elders holding the knife slowly drew out his knife, and then instantly appeared in the air, waving the long knife, and several incomparably huge sword chi slashed out towards the giant. The cannonballs flew off, and looking at the sword chi he wielded, he knew that his strength was no less than that of the world's largest swordsman in the sea, and he might even surpass it. The sword chi was flying, and the huge shells stopped in the air under the attack of such sword chi. Then, with a sound of boom, the explosion sounded, and the remaining shells exploded in the air. Has Lord Gorosei, 5 elders made a move? The Holy Land Guard with Admiral's strength couldn't help but say when he watched this scene. The huge roar generated by the explosion suddenly caused a large number of people to have intermittent deafness and lost their hearing. After a long time, after the explosion, the Holy Land finally returned to calm, and all the people who survived the disaster came out one after another. Be careful, looking around. Survived. Finally survived. The nobles who survived the disaster were overjoyed. Everyone is dispatched to rescue those who were injured. Gorosei, 5 elders ordered, and all of them came out for a while, cleaning up the aftermath. Sent someone to the waters below the Yuhi soil continent to encircle the Burndi world. Gorosei, 5 elders gave an order, and the strong men headed by the captain of the guard headed towards the Yuhi soil continent. Gorosei, 5 elders left here and returned to the office. The Holy Land has now been severely damaged, and a large number of buildings have been shattered. Although I don't know what the casualties are, at least the economic losses are huge. After the knife-wielding Gorosei, 5 elders returned to the office, the guards of the Holy Land began to count the casualties and economic losses this time. At the same time, what happened here also informed the Marine Headquarters. Marine Headquarters, Sengoku Office. Sengoku's phone worm suddenly rang. Hey, I'm Sengoku. Sengoku, we're the Gorosei, 5 elders. Take out that Burndi world guy right now. He just shelled the Holy Land, Mariajoy, so, you know what to do. The Gorosei, 5 elders, tone had no emotion at all. Don't worry, I'll deal with him right away. Sengoku also promised. Chapter 282 Meet. After hearing Sengoku's assurance, Gorosei, 5 elders also hung up the phone with satisfaction, and Sengoku couldn't help but sigh. He's really a lunatic. He actually bombarded the Holy Land, as expected of a world destroyer. Sengoku immediately informed Tianyu. Miscellaneous. On the sea, Tianyu was heading towards world. Suddenly, the phone worm rang. Tianyu also answered the phone. I'm Kinglong, what? Alright, I know, I'll do it as soon as possible. Hurry up. Tianyu sighed after receiving Sengoku's message. If you don't die, you won't die. Now, you're dead. Burndi world. Holy Land, Mariajoy, the office of Gorosei, 5 elders, after statistics, finally came up with the loss of Holy Land. Tell me, how big is this loss? Gorosei, 5 elders said looking at the person in front of him. Yes, Lord Gorosei, 5 elders, in this incident, a total of 78 nobles, 65 government officials, and 13 Lord Tenryubito died, with a total economic loss of 3.5 billion berg. A world government official reported. Well, you go down first. Gorosei, 5 elders ordered, and after he left, he said again, when you sent people to chase Burndi world, they have disappeared. Leave this to Marine and His Majesty Shichibukai. Said another Gorosei, 5 elders. Every time we make mistakes, we don't have to worry about this little thing. Tenryubito and the others have also learned their lesson, and Burndi world is useless. Gorosei, 5 elders said. Also, the Burndi world's bounty has been raised. Let's raise it to 500 million berry. Said the blonde Gorosei, 5 elders. Agree. Reconsideration. Gorosei, 5 elders thus decided the outcome of Burndi world. At the same time, what happened in the Holy Land was also concealed by the world government. If these things were announced, it would only lose the face of the world government, so it was sealed, and Burndi world's bounty was also sent to the world. At this time, Hawkeye Mahawk and Clown Buggy also set off to find Burndi world. After 2 days of sailing, they finally met Burndi world in the first half of the Great Route. At this time, Tianyu was also only an hour away from here. Buggy took the opportunity to go to World's island ship, sneaked inside, and planned to do something, while Hawkeye was watching from the outside, not yet deciding whether to make a move. Buggy sneaked into the island, and then was discovered by Garam, Sebastian and Nakan. The 3 of them did not notify World, so they took the initiative to attack Buggy who sneaked in, while Sebastian came to the sea and planned to solve Hawkeye. Sebastian came not far from Hawkeye, but he didn't act immediately. After all, Hawkeye's name of the world's largest swordsman was still very loud, and Sebastian was not careless. Hawkeye immediately spotted Sebastian, fish man. Hawkeye ignored him. After all, he didn't do anything either. Hawkeye ignored him, but Sebastian thought that Hawkeye didn't find him. The world's largest swordsman, he didn't find me, so just give me death. Hit the water. Sebastian said directly hit the water, silently towards the eagle eye. Who is Hawkeye? The world's greatest swordsman. The moment Sebastian made his move, observation Hawkeye caught his trace, and when he saw that the other party dared to attack him, he avoided his attack and immediately swung his sword, boom. A huge sword energy swept across the location of Sebastian just now, and then, there was no one in that place, and Sebastian was dealt with by Hawkeye. Buggy's side, Garam and Nakan were also led by Buggy, Mr. 3 and a group of people who followed Buggy, and were defeated by Buggy and others. Although there was an element of luck, Buggy was still a bit powerful. Biojack's place, through the surveillance phone bug, Biojack also discovered what happened here, and at the same time he lost the news of Sebastian. Biojack also knew, and it is estimated that something happened to Biojack. For a while, Biojack also had some sad. What happened? What about them? World came over at this time, saw only Biojack, and asked. The king of the world government, Shichibukai, invaded the island, and they tried to help you solve them, but they failed. Biojack said sadly. Really? That just means they're trash. World didn't have the slightest emotion for their deaths. How can you do this? World, they are our companions. Decades of companions. How can you be worthy of them like this? Do you know how much they spent for you and to build this ship? Biojack looked at World in disbelief. Isn't this a betrayal of them? World didn't move at all. But, didn't you betray me too? You know, I was frozen and impelled down, so my thinking is still stuck at the beginning. For me, the scene of being betrayed was just yesterday. So I can't forgive you. I want revenge. World left without hesitation. World, it's not like this, it's not like this. Biojack watched World leave and could only follow step by step. He wanted to explain to World that things weren't what he thought. At this time, Tianyu also came here, and also discovered the world's island ship. It's really magnificent. Such a big ship. Apart from the original Moria, this ship is the largest, right? Tianyu looked at it with emotion. Ships refitted with this island. At this time, World also came outside, stood on the high platform, and found Tianyu at the first time, and found Tianyu's marine coat. Marine, dare to come here, did you come to die? World shouted. You must know that apart from the world government, he hated Marine the most. Even now, he is still heading towards the Marine headquarters. He wants to take revenge on Marine, especially after taking revenge on the world government. Tianyu stepped to the island and came to Burndi world. Burndi world. It seems that the successful sneak attack on the world government has made you arrogant. Do you think you are already strong and fearless? Tianyu he looked at World with disdain, and at the same time a lot of him. At least, killing you is enough. I believe that if Marine kills you, Marine Admiral, they will definitely be heartbroken. World looked at Tianyu cruelly. If you can do it, then come and try it. Tianyu looked at World indifferently, not taking his words to heart at all. Chapter 283 vs. World Destroyer. Tianyu is simply dismissive of World's arrogance. Does he still think he is the world's #1 powerhouse? Giving him the title of World Destroyer is just because his fruit ability is too destructive. It doesn't mean that his personal strength can destroy the world. All equal miscellaneous G-bugs all equal. Maybe this code name gave him too high self-confidence. You must know that the reason why the world government wanted to unite with the pirates to deal with him was just because Marine was in the transition stage of admiral and didn't have enough energy to manage him. Otherwise, a single admiral, plus some vice admiral, was enough to deal with him. If he was really that strong, he would be the #1 powerhouse in the world, not Whitebeard. Maybe it was because he was frozen and impelled down for so long, so he thought it was his age. Strong there are not many people, but everyone knows that now is the era when the strong are born in large numbers, surpassing the previous era. Do you really think your World Destroyer title can make you run wild? Tianyu looked at World speechlessly. At least, killing you is enough. World said arrogantly. He didn't know the news that Tianyu had defeated Whitebeard and Golden Lion. He could only say that the ignorant were fearless and courageous. If that's the case, then I'll kill you. Otherwise, the people from the world government will come to 1010 to trouble me. Tianyu said lightly, as if World was just a little scoundrel. You are too arrogant. Marine. World was also annoyed by Tianyu's tone, and punched the ground, breaking the ground, then picked up the gravel and held it in his hand. Now it's too late to regret it. Momo can shoot 100 times. The stone in his hand was thrown out by him. The thrown stone, supported by the ability of Momo's fruit, went towards Tianyu at a speed of 100 times. The ordinary stone has the power beyond that of a bullet, and the original small stone also instantly became larger. The power was doubled immediately. It is no exaggeration to say that the power has surpassed that of the cannonball, and this is still World's casual blow, which is enough to see that World is powerful. Wooden formation wall. Tianyu didn't see any movement. A wooden defensive wall appeared in front of him, blocking World's attack. Momo 100 times. World immediately drew out his knife and slashed towards Tianyu's defensive wall. Boom! The knife raised 100 times directly smashed the defensive wall in front of Tianyu, but there was no one behind him. Seeing this, World immediately used observation hockey. Boom! Tianyu suddenly appeared in front of World and threw a punch. World immediately defended with armament hockey, and then the horizontal knife was in front of him. Boom! The defensive sword was directly smashed by one blow, and World also directly retreated. Although the big sword was smashed, he was defended by armament hockey, and he did not receive any damage. What harm? Momo 10 times faster. The retreating World directly used the fruit ability on himself, and the speed increased 10 times in an instant, rushing towards Tianyu. Nice speed. Tianyu praised and punched out. Boom! The two fists collided. World took a few steps back, and Tianyu rushed over at a faster speed, giving World no chance to breathe at all. Damn! Seeing this, World rushed up again, but he was directly suppressed by Tianyu. Damn! So at this speed, can you keep up with it? Momo is 30 times faster. World accelerated the speed, and then Tianyu fought fiercely. Even if the speed is increased, Tianyu's speed is still not slow, completely keeping up with World's attack speed, and even surpassing World's first line. In this area, only the sound of pung, 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 and a loud bang of boom could be heard. The two of them separated from World and were directly knocked into the air. They hit the wall and fell into it. There were several more fist marks on his body, and blood flowed from the corner of his mouth, but Tianyu was unscathed. It seems that your mouth is stronger than your strength. Tianyu looked at World playfully. Damn it! Don't be too arrogant. Kid, when I was crossing the sea, you weren't born yet. World roared, grabbed a handful of stones, and stood up. Then, speak with your strength. Tianyu looked at World with disdain. Momo 10 times the shot. World threw the stone in his hand, and then the whole person rushed up, Momo 50 times the speed. The whole person rushed over at the fastest speed, covered with armament hockey, punched Tianyu. Armed, Tianyu also had armament hockey's entire body in defense, completely disregarding the stone's attack. With these attacks, he couldn't break his defense, Ba fist. Tianyu wrapped around armament hockey's punch and hit World. However, what is surprising is that Tianyu's punch failed. Yes, it failed. World, who was moving at 50 times the speed, directly avoided Tianyu's attack. The 50 times speed was already the limit speed of World. No matter how fast, World's own body can't take it. World came behind Tianyu at a very fast speed and punched Tianyu, but Tianyu, who had turned on observation hockey, dodged World's attack with a dodge. It's useless, although you are faster than me now. But my speed is not slow, plus observation hockey's prediction, you still can't hit me. Tianyu looked at Valdo calmly. Valdo didn't say much, just kept rushing towards Tianyu. A strong-willed person like him wouldn't listen to other people's words. He could only know after trying it. Tianyu looked at World and didn't give up, didn't say anything, just shook his head, and then observation hockey fully opened, anticipating World's actions, avoiding his attack in advance. After the fall again, World also stopped, maintaining such a speed all the time. It was also a burden to him. Boy, don't hide if you have the ability. World looked at Tianyu angrily. Are you frozen and impelled down, stupid? Tianyu looked at World with a foolish look. You. World was also choked. At this time, the clown buggy also came out from the inside of the island, and looked at the two people who were confronting, and was terrified. It turned out to be the guy Marine Admiral and World. Looking at the destroyed scene around, the clown buggy was also terrified. Brother, hey, let's retreat. Buggy took his little friends and quickly left here. This is not a place for them to stay. Chapter 284 vs World Destroyer 2. Tianyu didn't react to Buggy's appearance and departure. Buggy didn't need to make trouble for him. As for World, he didn't take them to heart at all. In World's view, they could just crush them by themselves. Just a little guy. World was staring at Tianyu at this time. After a short fight, World already knew Tianyu's strength. Even so, World was not afraid at all. After all, in his opinion, even if he couldn't beat the opponent, he would not lose. At most it is a tie, so World is also confident. At this time, Tianyu suddenly moved and waved his big hand. The diamond spear is broken. A large number of wooden cones shot towards World, and the number was overwhelming. Momo 50 times faster. Faced with such an attack, World left the place at his fastest speed, and then started to counterattack, Momo 50 times the speed. A fist-sized rock shot from World, his hand flew out and shot towards Tianyu. Shinra Bansho, all creation. Tianyu formed a large number of trees directly in front of him to defend against World's attack. Boom! The stone was endowed with enormous lethality in World's hands, and it collided directly with the tree, making an explosion sound. Although the tree defended against the stone's attack, it was useless. Thorn kills. A large number of thorns stabbed towards World, and the sharp thorns on them made people shudder at first sight. Momo zoomed in 10 times. World pulled a slate directly over, then zoomed in, blocking it in front of him. The thorns also directly stabbed the slate in front of World, and then penetrated the slate unobstructed and went towards World. World also directly covered the fist with armament hockey, and then smashed the thorns with one punch without hurting it. To yourself. Come here if you have any other means. World looked at Tianyu and shouted, Momo 100 times the gun. World directly pulled out the pistol in his waist and shot Tianyu. Wooden dragon. Tianyu directly formed a wooden dragon, and then went towards World. The wooden dragon opened his mouth and bit the bullet that came quickly, bit it directly in his mouth, and then bit it into pieces. The wooden dragon continued to rush towards World. Momo 100 times the cannon. In the face of the huge wooden dragon, World took out a cannonball and threw it at the wooden dragon. Although it was not as powerful as a special cannonball, it was still extremely powerful. In the face of the continuously enlarged cannonball, Tianyu also did not want to face the explosive power of the cannonball, and directly controlled the wooden dragon to wrap the cannonball around it, wrapping it tightly. Boom! The huge explosion sounded, and the huge power directly blasts the wooden dragon to shreds. Tianyu also squinted his eyes. He didn't expect World's fruit ability to be applied to cannonballs. The power would be so great. It was a human-shaped nuclear bomb, but Tianyu didn't take it too seriously. After seeing that his attack had achieved such an effect, World also threw the same cannonballs at Tianyu one after another, and the cannonballs kept getting bigger and bigger as they traveled, coming towards Tianyu. In the face of such an attack as World, Tianyu was also not in a panic. World of Trees Wall. Beside Tianyu, with him as the center, a large number of trees appeared in a large area, and in just 1 second, they formed a huge forest, and then under the control of Tianyu, blocked the flying cannonballs. Boom! Boom! The moment the tree and the shell just touched, a huge explosion was released, and the tree at the center of the explosion was destroyed in an instant. However, the most powerful trick of the World of Trees wall is that there is a steady stream of trees, and a large number of trees continue to grow. Even if they are constantly destroyed, they still rush forward madly. Because of the large number of cannonballs, explosions continued to occur. Under Tianyu's control, the trees also grew wildly, one after another, blocking the terrifying impact of the huge cannonballs. Let me see how you block it. Momo fires 100 times the cannonball. Seeing this, World was also ruthless, and the shells went towards the forest one after another. The explosions kept happening. Tianyu also controlled the trees to grow wildly. The battle situation that happened here was also seen by Buggy and Hawkeye in the distance. Such a big scene surprised the two of them. Fortunately, I ran fast. Otherwise, I wouldn't know how I would die. Buggy said happily. As expected of Mr. Buggy. He must have known that such a thing would happen, so he retreated for us. Otherwise, Mr. Buggy will go to solve the world. So moving. Mr. Buggy's subordinate immediately. I made up this scene and looked at Buggy with admiration. Ha 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 ha, of course. Buggy could only laugh, pretending to be like this, but thinking to herself, I can only admit it, although I don't know what's going on. Hawkeye looked at this scene and was a little excited. It seems worthwhile for me to come here specially. After the explosion lasted for more than 10 minutes, it finally stopped, but World couldn't support it. Otherwise, he would probably throw it down indefinitely. Should you be injured? World looked at the explosion scene in front of him. Also guessed. After the explosion, the ground in front of it was cracked, and huge cracks appeared on the ground. The center of the explosion basically became powder. It can be seen that the power of the explosion was great. A gust of wind blew away the smoke and dust. The scene was finally revealed, and World opened his eyes wide to see the scene inside. After the smoke was blown away, the scene inside was exposed in front of World. Although Tianyu was the direct face of the explosion, a large number of trees still defended World's attack, even though the remaining large number of trees had all been destroyed. Blackened and zoomed, but still defended. A huge spherical defense was displayed there. After the explosion stopped, the spherical defense finally slowly descended, revealing the unharmed Tianyu inside. Tianyu walked directly out of the defense and came not far from World. Looking at your expression, you're disappointed. Tianyu looked at World. What? Do you think I would die in such an explosion? I'm an admiral anyway, plus my identity is a Logia Devil Fruit Power user. If you die like this, wouldn't it be a joke? It's your fate, World finally said viciously, without saying anything else. Looking at your appearance, it's very exhausting, right? Do you still have the physical strength to fight? Tianyu saw the real situation of World at a glance. Chapter 285 vs. World Destroyer 3. Looking at you, do you still have the physical strength to fight? Tianyu's words hit World's heart directly. Humph. World snorted coldly, although I have consumed a lot of physical strength, I can still fight, but you, blocking my attack, should also consume a lot of physical strength. How long can you fight? World also a burst of cynicism. Then you won't know if you try it. At least it won't be a problem to beat you. Tianyu looked at World with a smile. Although he had just defended against World's attack, Tianyu's physical consumption was not as big as he thought. Momo 30 times faster. The moment World came up, it was 30 times faster than Yiping, and rushed towards Tianyu. World was fighting the idea of a quick fight, because his physical strength was a bit too much. Shaved. Tianyu stepped on Shaved and rushed towards World without avoiding it. After all, Tianyu didn't intend to waste time. The two people who were in close contact with each other directly punched each other, boom. The two people punched each other, and then disappeared again. If it misses the punch, it just dodges away from the spot, and then attacks again. The two attacked at a very fast speed. Although World's speed was very fast, Tianyu still seized many opportunities, one after another. Shigen finger pistol wrapped around armament Haki, and broke World's armament. Haki defended and wounded World. World, who had been attacked many times, was in a hurry, and it still showed its flaws. The body paused, and Tianyu directly seized the opportunity, armed chakra enhanced strength. Tianyu burst out with a strange force and hit World. World, who had revealed his flaws, had no time to dodge at this time. He had no choice but to stretch out his left hand to block Tianyu's attack. The punch of boom hit World's left arm. Then, the strange force exploded. Click. Tianyu interrupted World's left arm. Ah! The left arm broke directly, and World couldn't help but let out a scream, then immediately backed away, left Tianyu far away, and stared at Tianyu closely to prevent his sneak attack. Tianyu, who was hit with a single blow, rushed up again without any hesitation, Shinra Bansho all creation. Tianyu used his ability directly, and at the same time, he also rushed towards World. Under the circumstance that World was fully on guard against Tianyu, he didn't realize that a large number of vines suddenly grew under his feet, entangling towards his feet, always guarding Tianyu's World. Only when the vines wrapped around his feet, finally found this out. Momo 50 times faster. Without even thinking about it, World directly used the maximum speed and wanted to leave the place. The huge speed also brought huge power. The vines on his feet were pulled away directly, and then World the whole person left the place. However, although World's movements were fast, the tree vines still contained World's time for a moment. At this moment, Tianyu's attack had arrived, armed chakra enhanced strength. The powerful fist burst out, although it did not hit directly World, but the aftermath hit him anyway. World's too fast speed allowed him to escape this fatal blow. Although he was affected by the aftermath, it was better than being hit directly. World left Tianyu far away, only to see a few more on his body. With a huge wound and a broken left arm, World's injuries are not light. You, who has broken your arm, can no longer be my opponent. Tianyu said, looking at World who was dodging far away. World did not speak. Although he knew that Tianyu was right, he would not admit it. At the same time, the serious injury on his body also prepared World to retreat. Do you want to escape? Tianyu seemed to see through World's thoughts. Do you think it's possible? Your ship is so big, how could you escape? Unless you give up this ship, but even if you give up this ship, on the vast sea, you are a devil fruit person, where can you escape? Hearing what Tianyu said, World's face also became ugly. Because Tianyu was right, World suddenly found that there was no way for him to escape, except to defeat the opponent, otherwise, there would be no other results. Then, I'll kill you and get out of here. Thinking of this, World also looked at Tianyu fiercely, and was ready to go all out. Seeing World like this, Tianyu is also prepared. The desperate efforts of any strong person are terrifying. If you are not careful, you may capsize in the gutter. This is very possible. Therefore, at this time, Tianyu is also exceptionally careful. Momo 100 times the shot. World picked up the gravel on the ground, and with his intact right hand, threw it towards Tianyu quickly, kept throwing 5 pieces of gravel in a row, then stopped, and then the whole person to rush towards Tianyu. He has to take the initiative to attack, so that there is a chance of survival. In the face of World's attack, Tianyu is also familiar with the road, wooden man. Tianyu directly launched a big move. A huge wooden man appeared in front of World. Tianyu stood on the wooden man, and the wooden man faced World's attack, punched directly, and smashed the crushed stone blessed by the fruit ability with one punch. Tianyu controlled the wooden figurine to rush towards World, and the wooden figurine also formed a wooden spear in his hand, stabbing towards World. In the face of the huge size of the wooden man, World did not show the slightest fear. The huge size brought about the lack of speed, so, Momo 50 times faster. World directly avoided the wooden man's attack and dodged. He came to Tianyu and punched him. "We'll be waiting for you here. Wooden dragon." Tianyu laughed. Just when World felt bad, he was about to step on the moon step to leave when he saw a huge wooden dragon wrapped around the wooden man's neck. It became active, and then wrapped around World. Momo 100 times the cannon. World directly threw his strongest move at Tianyu at close range, the extremely fast cannonball, and came to Tianyu in an instant. Tianyu was also not in a panic, and faced such an attack. He did not have a hard block. He directly integrated into the wooden figurine's body and used the wooden figurine as a defense to resist World's explosive attack. After all, at such a close distance, Tianyu was too late to implement other defensive means, and in such a short period of time, a good defense is too late, and now this situation is the best way to deal with it. When Tianyu melted into the wooden man's body, the explosion exploded. Chapter 286 vs. World Destroyer 4. Boom! A huge explosion sounded, and the huge explosion also directly overturned the huge wooden figurine. The wooden figurine was also continuously destroyed by the explosion of the cannonball. However, Tianyu controlled the wooden figurine to continuously repair it, and also use the armament hockey defense. After a long time, the explosion finally passed, and the wooden figurine stood up intact under Tianyu's repair. Tianyu also emerged from the wooden figurine's body again and appeared intact. At the same time when World threw the cannonball, the wooden Long Yi came to the front of World and entangled towards him. In the air, the inflexible World was directly entangled by the wooden dragon. World also felt bad. It's over. Although he thought so in his heart, World still didn't give up. The whole person was still writhing frantically, trying to escape. At this time, Tianyu had already evaded. Without Tianyu's control, Mu Long Yi's ability decreased, Momo 10 times the cannon. World was cruel, and detonated a cannonball beside him. Of course, he did not use the maximum. The power is only 10 times the explosion. The explosion blew a hole in the wooden dragon that was entangled in World. World also took the opportunity to leave the wooden dragon's entanglement and headed towards the special cannon. The injuries on his body were also ignored. The explosion just happened at close range, although armament hockey had been used. Defense, but still suffered a lot of injuries. Coming to the special cannon, World opened the cannon directly, and then controlled and aimed in the direction of the wooden figurine. At this time, Tianyu also appeared from the wooden figurine's body. The moment he appeared, World was ready to attack. Momo, 100 times the cannon. World roared, and the attack that gathered all his strength roared towards Tianyu. Tianyu had just emerged from the wooden figurine when he noticed World's attack. Tianyu felt a huge threat. At this moment, Tianyu became more and more sober. The wooden figurine is armed to attack. Tianyu controlled the wooden figurine to stand up and stretched out his right hand into a palm shape, and at the same time, Tianyu wrapped armament hockey on the wooden man's palm and slapped the huge cannonball. Tianyu is now able to cover armament hockey on such a huge figure as a wooden figurine. Although it cannot cover the whole body, there is no problem with partial coverage. When the wooden figurine waved, the cannonballs arrived. Boom! The huge shell directly hit the wooden man's palm, and the explosion was very violent. This can be said to be World's strongest move, and it was also his last move. Armament hockey brought the force of impact to the wooden man. Shock. Tianyu shouted. The center of the explosion was pushed forward by the huge impact of the wooden man, and the explosion range was far away from Tianyu, towards the opposite side. At the same time, the wooden man's right hand also began to shatter, and Tianyu also controlled the wooden man's constant repair. The situation continued to stalemate. The power of the shell explosion had been fully demonstrated at this time, and the wooden figurines were also constantly pushing the explosion, and the two sides could not advance an inch. After a long time, the explosion range finally began to retreat. After all, the wooden figurines had Tianyu's support. Start pushing the explosion forward. Armed shock. Tianyu saw this scene. His eyes narrowed immediately. Armament hockey broke out again. Pushed hard, the wooden man became angry. The huge explosion was finally pushed. Shock. Tianyu shouted. The wooden man went crazy. The explosion was pushed away by the wooden man, and the explosion was finally pushed into the distance. Boom. The huge explosion was pushed directly into the distance by the wooden man, towards the sea. The explosion finally exploded in the sea. The huge power caused huge waves on the sea, and even formed a tsunami towards the sea. Away. World looked at this scene, and his heart darkened. At the same time, he fled to the distance without hesitation. It is impossible for him to win now, so World ran away directly. Tianyu, who was standing on top of the wooden man, had been on guard for World for a long time. When he saw him running away, he immediately controlled the wooden dragon to chase after him. The flying wooden dragon directly caught up with World, in constant struggle. However, the wooden dragon had already wrapped the world around and began to absorb the physical strength of the world. The world also slowly stopped struggling. The world, which had little physical strength, lost resistance under such circumstances. Strength. Seeing World losing its resistance, Tianyu also controlled the wooden dragon and put World on the ground. Of course, the wooden dragon still wrapped around World and did not let go. Looking at World who had lost his resistance, Tianyu stood on the wooden man and looked down at him. How is it? Do you have any thoughts now? Win the king or lose the bandit? What's there to say? World was also very stubborn, as if he had already accepted his fate and made no excuses for his failure. Then, you know your end. Tianyu looked at World. If you want to kill, kill it. After World finished saying this, he closed his mouth directly. He knew that he would never have a chance to live. He had to know that he attacked the Holy Land Mariajoy. Therefore, the world government is impossible to keep him alive. Seeing World's resignation, Tianyu didn't say anything. When he was about to shoot, Tianyu heard something and stopped for a while, only to see Biojack come out of the island step by step and came to World's side. After seeing someone coming, World also glanced at the person who came, and after seeing that it was Biojack, World did not speak. Biojack came directly to World's side, and did not leave. Aren't you going? If you are still here, you will die. World still couldn't help saying. World, wherever we go, I will go with you. At least let us sail the sea freely again, right? We are the free pirates, not the world destroyer. Biojack looked into the distance, said the sunset. Free pirates, World murmured. My body won't last long either, so I'll stay with you. Biojack laughed. Humph, it's up to you. World still didn't drive Biojack away. Maybe, even he didn't know, he had forgiven Biojack and them. Tianyu looked at this scene and shook his head helplessly. In such a situation, how could he make a move? Tianyu released the wooden man, came to World, took out the sea stone handcuffs, and handcuffed World. Seeing Tianyu like this, didn't you just kill me? World looked at Tianyu. I'm a righteous marine. As for what the outcome will be, it's up to them, I don't care anyway. Tianyu said. Humph, hesitant marine, World said with disdain. Chapter 287 vs World Destroyer, End. Tianyu ignored World and notified the Marine headquarters to send a warship to receive Brandi World. The Marine headquarters also immediately notified the world government. After all, the world government hated Brandi World this time. After seeing Tianyu solve Brandi World, Mahawk, the eagle, eyed man in the distance, also drove his own boat and left here. Tianyu also saw the departure of Hawkeye Mahawk, and didn't say anything. Tianyu didn't care about him as a lone ranger. After all, a lone ranger would not have any influence on Marine, even if he was the world's #1 sword. How, too. After 2 hours, the people of the world government finally came here, and seeing the ships of the world government, Tianyu did not say anything, and the people of the world government came to Tianyu. Kanglong Admiral, I am a CP person, under the order of Lord Gorosei, 5 elders, to receive World Destroyer, burn D World. A man in black respectfully said to Tianyu. Well, take the 2 of them away. I'll leave it to you. Tianyu nodded when he saw this. Yes. When the CP people saw this, they also replied respectfully, and then brought Burn D World and Biojack back to the warship, and then the CP people returned to Tianyu. Excuse me, do you have any orders? Kanglong Admiral. There's nothing to do, just escort them back. I still have things to do. Tianyu replied. Yes. Then we'll leave. Seeing this, the CP people also left. After seeing the CP people leaving, Tianyu also discovered a problem, that is, the island ship of Burn D World is still here. You must know that this ship is not bad. An island refitted ship can transport troops on a large scale, and the battle just now did not cause much damage to the ship. I believe it would be a good choice to bring it back to Marine. Thinking of this, Tianyu called Marshal Sengoku directly. Hello, I'm Sengoku, what's the matter? Tianyu. Sengoku asked. The people from CP just took away Burn D World. Now, what about the island modified ship in Burn D World? Do you want it? With this ship, we can send troops on a large scale, which is definitely a good means. The key is that it can be used directly. How about it? Do you want it? Tianyu asked. Yes. You wait there, I'll send someone to receive the ship right away. Sengoku heard Tianyu's description and knew how valuable the ship was, so he couldn't wait. Okay, hurry up and send someone. Tianyu said, then hung up the phone and waited for Sengoku to send someone. Marine Headquarters, the Marshal's office. After Sengoku hung up the phone, he immediately looked at Garp on the side. How important this matter is, you know. I don't worry about others going, and Admiral is also unavailable, so please trouble you. Go once. Then leave this matter to the old man. Seeing this, Garp agreed to Sengoku directly. He also knew that what Sengoku said was right, so he did not shirk. Well, take someone there. Seeing this, Sengoku was relieved. Garp went straight out, and then took a large number of people and took a warship to the location of Tianyu. Garp was very fast, and soon came to the area where Tianyu was located. Garp saw the huge island from a distance. Ship. Tianyu, who was waiting on the island boat, also saw the arrival of the Garp warship. After Garp saw Tianyu, he stepped directly on the moon step and came to Tianyu. Ha 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 ha, Tianyu boy, not bad, it was solved so quickly. That guy from Burn D World is getting stronger and stronger. Garp laughed and punched Tianyu on the body. Garp Vice Admiral, you really are. Tianyu was also speechless about Garp's appearance, but he didn't say anything. He still respected Garp. At this time, Garp's warship also approached here, and a large number of marine soldiers disembarked from the warship and came to Tianyu. Kanglong Admiral. Everyone shouted. Well, you're here just in time, go and control this ship. Tianyu saw them and ordered. Yes. All marine soldiers responded, then headed towards the ship's control room. After an hour, a marine soldier finally came to Garp and Tianyu. Garp Vice Admiral, Kanyu Admiral, we have the ship under full control and can sail. The soldier reported. If that's the case, then go back to Marine Headquarters. Seeing this, Tianyu ordered it directly, and Garp had no objection. Soon, under the control of marine soldiers, the island ship began to move slowly, heading towards the Marine Headquarters. After running at full speed, the island ship also reached the speed of the marine warship. Half of it was a surprise, and it made the boat worth a little more. Under the control of marine soldiers, the island ship soon returned to Marine Headquarters. Marine Headquarters, Sengoku had already made preparations, and the port of Marine Headquarters had already vacated other warships. To be able to stop the ship, the island ship docked directly at the port. After Garp, Tianyu and others came down, a large number of Marine soldiers surrounded the ship, and then a large number of people entered the ship and began to make corresponding modifications. Tianyu and Garp ignored these things completely and returned to the marshal's office. You two are back. Sengoku saw the two of them. Said. Ah, it's all settled, Tianyu said after seeing Sengoku. Then, I'll go on vacation. Okay, during this time, you're tired too. I'll give you a vacation, go and rest. Sengoku also looked at Tianyu and said with consideration. Okay, then I'll leave. Tianyu saw this and said hello to Garp, then left here, came to the port, directly used his abilities to form a small boat, and then headed towards the new world, the Sea of Nine Snakes. The direction of the thieves group left. Hancock, I'm back. Tianyu and Hancock greeted and informed in advance. Okay, Tianyu, I'll be waiting for you in the new world. By the way, Leah hasn't seen you for a long time. Hancock said warmly. Don't worry, I'll reach you soon, Tianyu said immediately after hearing Hancock's words, and then sailed towards the new world at the fastest speed. Chapter 288 Looking for. During Tianyu's voyage, the world government and marine headquarters also solved Tianyu's world destroyer, and the news of Burndi world informed the world, which also brought Tianyu's power to a higher level. Of course, those world-class pirates still don't care about this news at all, especially the 4 emperor-level powerhouses. They are all characters who are extremely confident in themselves, and they all believe that they are the most powerful characters. The confidence of the strong. Soon, Tianyu came to the new world safely, and then came to the location of the 9 Snakes pirates with ease. After Tianyu sneaked in alone, he also came to Hancock's palace. Everyone in the palace knew Tianyu's identity. So Tianyu didn't hide it and walked out directly. When Tianyu first entered the palace, Hancock's observation hockey found out, because after having a child, Hancock would turn on observation hockey scan from time to time, just in case, and after discovering Tianyu, he also laughed. What's the matter, big sister? Sonia and Groud asked Hancock, who suddenly laughed. It's nothing, your brother-in-law is here. Hancock said, holding the child in his arms. Lee, Daddy is here. Leah couldn't speak yet, she just made a sound unconsciously. Hancock, I'm back. At this time, Tianyu also walked in. Brother-in-law 2 inches Sonia greeted Groud. Yeah, long time no see, Sonia, Groud. Tianyu also greeted, and then walked towards Hancock. Sonia and Groud looked at each other when they saw this, and then they left here, leaving it to the Hancock and Tianyu family. I believe they must have a lot to say. After Sonia and Groud left, Tianyu also came to Hancock's side, hugged Hancock. The two sat together. Hancock also hugged Leah and leaned on Tianyu's body. Next, Tianyu also talked to Hancock about what happened during these times, including the battle with Golden Lion and Burndi World. Of course, Tianyu didn't say anything about the danger. Even so, Hancock was worried, even knowing that Tianyu was very powerful. But Hancock couldn't help but worry. Hancock also talked to Tianyu about what happened to the 9 snakes during this period of time. Where did someone come to provoke? Where did they find something? And what happened to Leah? In short, Hancock had endless things to say, and Tianyu was talking, and it wasn't until Leah burst into tears that the two of them reacted. Oh, don't cry baby, are you hungry? Mommy will feed you right away. Hancock said in a hurry, then gave Leah something to drink, and Leah fell asleep when she was full. The child still has to sleep. After seeing Leah falling asleep, Hancock and Tianyu did not continue to talk. Hancock leaned against Tianyu's arms, and the two felt each other's heartbeats. In the following time, Tianyu stayed with Hancock and accompanied his daughter. Tianyu also enjoyed the warmth of family affection. It is worth mentioning that the rust fruit that Tianyu got at the beginning was given to Margaret by Hancock. Here there is also a reason for Sakumo. Margaret has Logia's devil fruit. I believe her strength has also improved a lot. In this case, she is also a strong player in the new world. In this case, Sakumo will be more at ease. In this case, she can completely pull Sakumo. On the ship of the 9 snakes, this is also the calculation of the mother-in-law, and Sakumo often comes to the 9 snake pirates to be with Margaret. Tianyu has been staying with the 9 snake pirates, accompanied Hancock, and brought his children. If he is free, he will train the 9 snakes as the legendary vice-captain of the 9 snake pirates. Check out their hockey. The New World, an island with no people. This is an island shrouded in darkness, where there is no sunlight all year round, and it is full of humid environment. Once there was civilization here. There is also an abandoned castle on this island. Now the castle is uninhabited. On this day, here came a man. He was wearing a yuhi-colored dress, holding a bat-like umbrella in his hand, with his old face, looking from a distance, like a vampire. This man, it was from the Impel Down that escaped, the legendary figure, Redfield, a powerful man known as Count Yuhi. Redfield, who escaped from Impel Down, slowly recovered his strength after hiding for a period of time. Although he has not yet reached his peak, unless he is an admiral-level character, others will have no way to deal with him. The more than 20 years in Impel Down have also turned him from a strong man into an old man. The power of aging is extremely terrifying. Even as powerful as Whitebeard, he has lost to time, so Redfield, who has just recovered his strength, can't wait. Out to sea, he wants to find what he has been looking for, because he can't wait any longer. He is old, his strength is weakened, his strength has declined, and this is all he can't bear. As proud as he is also afraid of death. No one can resist the power of time, no matter how strong he is, so he puts his hope in the devil fruit. As a secret treasure on the sea, no one knows where the devil fruit came from. No one knows how much power the devil fruit has. Maybe it has the ability to live forever, so he frantically searched for the devil fruit illustration. Finally, he found a devil fruit, which is called Hope, Zone, Mythical, Bado no Mi, Model, Vampire. This is what he is after, because it can bring youth, it can restore people young. By absorbing blood, you can restore youth and strength, which is simply the perfect existence. Before Redfield was caught by Marine, he had been chasing this devil fruit. He turned the sea upside down, and finally he found some news. The intelligence of Bado no Mi, on an island in the New World. It was an island with no sunshine all year round, so he kept looking. He didn't continue until he was caught by Marine. Now that he escaped, he continued to search as soon as he regained his strength, so he came to this island. He had searched for nearly 100 islands, but he still hasn't found it, so, now he is also ready for a long search. Redfield walked directly to the castle, and he didn't find anything in the castle, but found that there were a lot of bats here, which also gave Redfield a hunch, as if this was the place he was looking for. Chapter 289 Devil Fruit. Redfield, who had no gain in the castle, was not discouraged in the slightest. After all this time, he didn't think he would find it all at once. If it were that simple, the devil fruit would have been discovered long ago. It's not his turn either. Redfield, who continued to look for it, came to the forest outside the castle. Through the information inside the castle, Redfield knew that this was an existence called the Vampire Forest. Because there were a large number of vampire bats in it, most people did not dare to enter. However, Redfield is not an ordinary person at all. How could this vampire bat be an opponent of a strong man like him? So Redfield walked into the forest alone, without the slightest fear. As soon as he entered the forest, Redfield found that the forest was eerie and terrifying. There was no sound of other animals, only a lot of flapping wings, and the ubiquitous orangutan yuhi-colored eyes, everywhere, densely packed, all of them vampire bats. I don't know how they survived. There are no other creatures here. It is estimated that they have all been sucked up by them. When Redfield first stepped into the forest, all the vampire bats sensed the aura of alien creatures and immediately locked onto Redfield. Yuhi-colored eyes in the entire forest were staring at him. Was too frightened to move. Redfield didn't care about these vampire bats at all, and walked completely on his own, while looking for possible traces of devil fruits. Finally, those vampire bats couldn't bear it any longer, and began to charge towards Redfield. The vampire bat pressed over. Redfield, who didn't want to pay attention to them, couldn't help but snorted, "Humph." A conqueror haki instantly appeared from Redfield's body, and a terrifying aura suddenly swept the entire forest, and all the vampire bats moved for a while, and then, all fell down, but they were all stunned by Redfield's conqueror haki. The vampire bats fell like rain, and Redfield didn't care at all. He walked straight over and walked towards the depths of the forest. Without the interruption of the vampire bats, Redfield finally came to the center of the forest. A huge tree stood there, and all the trees were the nests of vampire bats. Redfield looked around and couldn't find what he was looking for. He couldn't help but be disappointed a lot. Although he had been disappointed many times, he was still not used to this feeling. Redfield, who was just about to leave, suddenly found out that this was a hollow tree. Taking a closer look, I found that the roots of this big tree are hollow, and there is a subtle yuhi color inside. If you don't look carefully, you can't find it at all. Seeing this, Redfield is also interested. Without leaving directly, he wanted to see what was inside, and it was hidden so tightly. Coming to the tree trunk, Redfield directly held the bat umbrella and stabbed towards the tree trunk. The bat umbrella directly pierced the tree trunk, and then with a slight shock, the bark of the tree trunk burst open, revealing the contents inside. Redfield's eyes widened when he saw what was inside. He never thought it would be this thing. I saw that this is an apple-sized fruit. The whole body of yuhi is purple, and it is covered with circles of patterns. It is strange and attractive. Yes, this is a devil fruit, and Redfield has been constantly the devil fruit he's been looking for. The devil fruit he's been searching for decades, has now dramatically appeared in front of him. Ha 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 ha, ha 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 ha. Redfield couldn't stop laughing. His voice spread out, and the whole island could hear his laughter, but fortunately this is an uninhabited island. Finally found you, finally found you. Redfield laughed wildly, until he burst into tears, and finally stopped, but the expression on his face was still so happy. Finally found you. It took me so many years to finally appear in front of my eyes. You made me find it easy. Redfield looked at the devil fruit with tender eyes, and kept rubbing his hands together. Holding it, as if stroking a rare treasure. Perhaps to Redfield, it is the most precious treasure. That's right, Redfield recognized it the first time he saw it. It's the devil fruit Redfield has been looking for his whole life. Zone, mythical, Bato no mi, model, vampire, he got young way. Redfield finally calmed down, and then he took a bite without hesitation. The smell of devil fruit made him frown, but he still bit Kiba and ate it all. He didn't want to eat less. After taking a bite, something happened. After eating it all, Redfield closed his eyes and felt the power of the devil fruit with his whole body. After a long time, I finally felt the power of the devil fruit. Hey, it's really Bato no mi, model, vampire. I finally found it, so the next step is to find a place with people, and then go and experiment for yourself. Let's see if its abilities are the same as recorded. Hope, don't let me down. Redfield directly used the ability of the devil fruit and directly animalized it into a yuhi-colored bat that was larger than a normal bat. Then it flew out of the forest, leaving only a large number of vampire bats here. After flying out of the forest, Redfield didn't stop at all, and continued to publish. He planned to find a manned island to test his abilities. Redfield, who was flying towards the island, was crossing the sea. A ship in the distance. Without the slightest hesitation, he went directly to the direction of the ship. After approaching, he found out that it was a medium-sized pirate group. Now they were having a banquet. Redfield came directly to the pirate ship and stood on the mast. Turned into a human form. A pirate suddenly found that a shadow shrouded him, looked up and found Redfield. Boss, someone has come to our ship. the pirate warned. What? The pirate captain stood up immediately and was shocked when he saw Redfield, because he didn't find out when the other party came to this ship. If the other party suddenly attacked, what should he do? Thinking of this, the pirate captain shouted, "Brothers, copy guy." As if a lot of people could give him a sense of security, all the pirates put down the food and wine in their hands, took out their weapons and stared at the thunder. Durfield. Chapter 290 Test. Who are you? What is the purpose of coming to us? You must know that we are the giant axe pirates with a bounty of 150 million. We are not easy to mess with. The pirate captain reported his bounty. I hope that the opponent will be afraid of his own strength, because he is not sure that he can fight the opponent. I just happened to meet you, so let's take you to try the devil fruit ability I just got. Redfield looked at the pirates with a smile. Old guy, don't be too complacent, we are not easy to mess with, brothers, let's go together. After the pirate captain heard Redfield's words, he immediately became angry. There was no way to avoid the battle, so he would take the first shot and gain the upper hand. Hearing the order of their captain, the crew shot at Redfield, who was standing on the mast. The gunshots were loud, and the bullets went towards Redfield. Humph! Redfield smiled incredulously, and then came to the front of the crowd in a flash, bat form. Redfield instantly changed into the shape of a bat, and then came to a very fast speed. At the side of the pirate, he bit down in one bite, and in just an instant, the pirate was drained of blood. The people who reacted immediately attacked with knives, but the speed of Redfield, who turned into a bat, was really not comparable to them. They saw a yuhi-colored light flashing, and another pirate died, and the pirate just now had already died. Become human. Yuhi-colored rays of light kept flashing, and one pirate died one after another, becoming human. Demon, the pirate captain also looked at this scene in horror. He never thought that this old guy would be so powerful. At this speed, if he goes up, I am afraid that only 2 moves will not be an opponent. At the same time, for the death of his subordinates he had no choice. Ah, I can't stand it anymore. A pirate couldn't stand this scene at once. Seeing all his partners die in front of him in this way, no one could stand it. He suddenly rushed towards the sea in shock, preferring to jump into the sea. I don't want to accept this scene again. Don't, the pirate captain shouted before he could see the yuhi-colored light rushing towards the pirate. However, his idea was not realized at all. The light of yuhi color came to him in an instant. Before he could react, he bit on it, and soon, he died without any consciousness. Damn, you are so cruel. The pirate captain watched this scene. All his partners died here, and in this way, they all became mummified corpses, and Kobo was bitten to pieces. At this time, the yuhi-colored bat transformed by Redfield flew in front of Captain Pirate, and then turned back to its original state. I saw that Redfield, who seemed old, suddenly regained his youth, and the wrinkles on his face were also it slowly disappeared, as this. Power, the power of youth. It seems that this devil fruit is really useful. Ha 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 ha, ha 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 ha. Redfield laughed wildly when he saw this scene. What kind of monster are you? The pirate captain looked at the scene in front of him, and immediately widened his eyes. He never thought that such a thing would happen. He was obviously an old-fashioned old man, but now, he is under his eyes, he became young and rejuvenated. This is a scene that many people yearn for. Now it appears in front of him, but he is not excited at all, only boundless fear. I've finally regained my youth, so as a celebration, let's celebrate with your life. Redfield revealed Kobo and smiled at Captain Pirate. Damn, seeing is what he thought. The pirate captain immediately prepared desperately. Although I am not your opponent, I will give you a wound when I die, so that my brothers I won't die in vain. The pirate captain looked fierce. An ant must have the consciousness of an ant, and even want to hurt an elephant. You will soon find out that this is just a delusion. Redfield looked at the other party with disdain. Even you can't deny me like this. Armed axe. The pirate captain immediately attacked Redfield with all his strength, with armament hockey wrapped around the huge axe. As a pirate in the New World, armament hockey will be the basic thing, the pirate captain rushed towards Redfield with an indomitable momentum. He had abandoned all his defenses, and everything was for the most powerful attack. An ant is an ant, even if you have the determination to give up everything. Stab, Redfield said disdainfully, and the movement in his hand was not slow, and the bat umbrella stabbed directly towards the heart of Captain Pirate. Boom! Redfield's attack was as fast as lightning, and he attacked from behind. He preemptively came to the heart of the pirate captain, and then stabbed in without hesitation. The attack of the pirate captain suddenly stopped, and he looked down at the attack at the heart. He had already felt the rupture of the heart, and the vitality was passing, but he could only put down the attack in his hand unwillingly, with a lot of mouth. Blood flowed out, and then looked at Redfield. "I'm waiting for you below, sooner or later you will end up the same way, I curse you." With deep ruthlessness, Captain Pirate died tragically. Even when he died, he didn't do any harm to Redfield. Curse. It's just a waste of my time. As a pirate, it's really naive to believe in such things as curses. Redfield glanced at the other party with disdain, then took out his bat umbrella. He left here without returning, turned into a bat again, and flew towards the next island. Redfield, who became a bat, came to another island at a very fast speed, and then changed back to the original. The pirates on the island did not recognize him, too. After all, he was a character more than 20 years ago, and he has not appeared for so many years, and it is normal that no one knows him. In this sea, there is no shortage of strong people, and time can erase everything. Redfield also ignored those people. After coming to a bar, he ordered a bottle of Yuhi wine, and then drank it alone. He listened to the conversation of the people in the bar to see if there was any information worth paying attention to. Soon, he learned about the information about this year's supernova, but he didn't care at all. He has absolutely no interest in such a newcomer. After all, he is Count Yuhi, the solitary reed, and the Lone Ranger. He is also known as Whitebeard, Roger, and Golden Lion by himself, so he's still drinking alone, until he heard the news. Chapter 291 Intelligence. When Redfield heard the news, he couldn't sit still. "Have you heard? There is a supernova that has survived this year and has a very strange character," one pirate said to another. "Really? What kind of devil fruit ability?" This pirate is a little indifferent. After all, this is a new world, and there are all kinds of strange abilities. It doesn't matter if you look like this. Indeed, you do have all kinds of abilities in the new world, but he's different. It's still very strange. The pirate immediately saw that the other party disagreed, but he didn't care. Because he had the same expression before he knew this information. You know what? When he uses the devil fruit ability, a huge area will appear, and then in this area, if he is cut by his knife, it will be completely, it won't bleed. Even if it gets hit, it won't die. It's just that he will use his ability to form a monster, such as swapping hands and feet, or a random combination, so there are a lot of monsters in that place. How about it? According to what you said, it is indeed a very strange ability. What kind of fruit ability is he? Do you know? The pirate was suddenly interested. Of course I do. However, today's wine. The pirate laughed. Okay, I'll invite you to drink the wine. Hurry up and say it. Another pirate immediately agreed. Okay, refreshing. His name is Trafalgar Law. He is said to be the power of the fruit of surgery. The pirate saw that the other party was so refreshing, and immediately told the information he had obtained. Fruit of surgery. Is it the fruit of healing? The other party asked curiously. It should be. Otherwise, he wouldn't be called by this name. It is said that he is a doctor. The pirate was also uncertain. Hearing this, Redfield was also excited. It seems that God is really looking after me. I found it again. It's really worth the trip. Has my shipment arrived? The happy Redfield immediately drank the Yuhi wine and left here. He has something to do. After leaving the bar, Redfield went directly to a deserted house and walked in. This is a place dedicated to selling intelligence on this island. There was only one person sitting behind the table. When he saw someone coming, he also raised his head. Looking at the person who came, after seeing Redfield, His pupils twitched, and then he returned to normal in an instant, but it was still discovered by Redfield. "Looks like you know me," Redfield said, looking at the man. "A big man like you, how can people in our industry not know about it? You know, we are people selling information for a living." The man said to Redfield very respectfully, "I don't know, you want what information?" "I need information on this year's supernova called Trafalgar Law, do you have it?" Redfield said directly. "Yes, please wait a moment." The man immediately walked to the back, and then came out, holding a piece of information in his hand. "Here, my lord, this is what you need." He handed it to Redfield respectfully. Redfield also took it unceremoniously and looked at it carefully. The information about Luo recorded above is very detailed, including his origin, ability, reward amount, major things he has done, and where he appeared recently. The records are very detailed. "Yes, I am very satisfied. How much do I need?" Redfield said. "As long as you are satisfied. As for the reward, you can do whatever you want. This person is also very careful. There is no way, such a big man is not something he can provoke. Here, I'm not the kind of pirate who doesn't get in." Redfield took out a stack of berry, and then left here, heading towards Luo's nearest location as written in the intelligence. At the entrance to the New World, Luo's pirate group is also docked here. "Captain, how long are we going to stay here?" Babo asked, and kicked a pirate away. "Wait until the number is satisfied, room scalpel." Luo directly cut the pirate close to him, then cut out the heart, and put the heart in the side pocket. "Let's solve the battlefield. We have enough." Then the Yuhi Heart pirates also finished cleaning the battlefield, then left here and headed towards the marine headquarters. "Captain, are we really going to become Shichibukai? You know that Shichibukai is completely useless now." Beppo asked strangely, and the others also looked at Luo. "Don't worry, it won't be long, at most 2 years. Becoming a Shichibukai is just for one purpose. Trust me," Luo explained to the crowd. After hearing Luo say this, Beppo and the others didn't ask any further questions. They believed in Luo, not only because Luo was their captain, but they also always believed that Luo would not be a man willing to be lonely. Luo's submarine was heading towards the marine headquarters. Tianyu was located in the 9 Snake Pirates. At this time, they also bid farewell to Hancock and headed towards the marine headquarters. "Be careful all the way, Tianyu," Hancock said to Tianyu while holding Leah. "Don't worry, Hancock, don't worry about my strength, go back." "Goodbye, Leah, Dad will be back as soon as possible." After Tianyu greeted Hancock and Leah, he also left the 9 Snakes station. At this time, Redfield also came to the entrance of the New World. After coming to the island located here, he also came to the intelligence sales place. Without wasting time, he directly asked, "Where is the Yuhi Heart Pirates? Look at the people selling intelligence." Yuhi Heart Pirates left here yesterday and went back to the first half of the Great Route. It should be going to Marine Headquarters. It is said that he was invited to become King Shichibukai. So during this time, he was constantly hunting pirates. Use this as a bargaining chip. The intelligence officer immediately said all the intelligence he knew, especially after feeling the momentum of Redfield. Redfield didn't say anything, just left here, then came out of the port, found a pirate ship, and went straight up. "Take me back to the first half of the Great Route," said coldly. "Who the hell are you? Don't you know this is?" The pirate was directly solved by Redfield. "People who dare to kill us, come on." A large number of pirates rushed towards Redfield. Redfield didn't show any mercy, and quickly killed them one by one, and soon the number of the pirate group was reduced to only 20%. "Now, can you take me with you? I don't have time to waste time with you guys." Redfield looked bloodthirsty at the rest. "Let's go now," the rest replied immediately, looking at the dead. Smart choice. Chapter 292 Encounter. After Redfield stunned these people immediately drove the boat to the bottom of the sea at the fastest speed, heading for the first half of the Great Route, if it was slow, for fear that Redfield would kill. Seeing that they were so acquainted, Redfield did not continue to kill, and found a place to wait. The time was not too short, and Redfield chased in Luo's direction. Time passed quickly. Tianyu had come to the first half of the Great Route, and was driving a small boat towards the marine headquarters. Coincidentally, at this time, the submarine of the Yuhi Heart pirates was also below this sea area. "Captain, we have returned to the first half of the Great Route and are heading towards the marine headquarters. Now our supplies are almost exhausted. Do we want to go diving and find an island to replenish?" Beppo came to Luo asked in front of him. "Is it coming?" Luo thought to himself, then let's dive. Just in time to rest. Okay, yeah. Bebo happily ran to the control room and controlled the submarine to float towards the sea. Under the control of Bebo, the submarine continued to rise, and gradually came to the sea. The sea was not far away. Tianyu, who was riding in the boat, felt something, and saw something not far away from him. When I came out, I looked at it curiously. I saw a huge thing slowly emerge, and the seawater suddenly dispersed to both sides. Finally, this thing appeared in Tianyu's eyes. It was a submarine, so it's a submarine. But, look at this submarine. The appearance of the boat, and the pirate pattern on it. This should be the submarine of the Yuhi Heart pirates, right? Tianyu recognized the submarine, so he just watched the scene without any movement. Soon, the submarine floated on the sea, and then docked there, only to hear a click. The door of the submarine opened, and then a white bear in clothes was seen running out happily, messing around on the deck. Go. Tianyu also controlled the boat and approached the past. As Tianyu approached, Bai Xiang Bibo also discovered Tianyu. When he saw Tianyu's appearance, he immediately said, "Ah! Ah! Ah! Help!" He cried and shouted, and hurriedly ran inside, only to fall to the ground. Tianyu also smiled, and then came to the submarine in an instant. At this time, the people in the submarine also heard Bebo's voice and walked out. "Bebo, what happened? You screamed so loudly." Only Luo's voice came out, and he walked out slowly. Captain, help! Help!" After Beppo heard Luo's voice, he immediately ran behind Luo. "It's Marine Admiral." Beppo's voice was full of fear. "What?" After hearing Beppo's words, Luo also looked at the people on the deck, and his pupils shrank after seeing each other clearly. "Hello," Tianyu greeted. "I didn't expect to meet Marine Admiral here." Luo also reacted at this time, but he didn't seem to be afraid. His reaction was mediocre, not like an ordinary pirate meeting Marine. "You don't seem to be afraid at all. You must know that first I'm Marine. And you are a pirate?" Tianyu asked curiously. "Because, I know you won't shoot at me," Luo calmly said. "Oh, can you tell me why? Why won't I shoot at you?" Tianyu immediately became interested. "It's very simple, because the world government wants me to become Shichibukai. This time I'm going to Marine headquarters, and your pacifist plan also needs my ability. This time I also brought 100 hearts of activities that you need," Luo said with a smile. "Shichibukai," Tianyu said. "Then, let me confirm." Tianyu took out a phone bug and called Sengoku. "Hey, I'm Sengoku, what's the matter?" Sengoku's voice came from the opposite side. "It's me, Tianyu," Tianyu replied. It turned out to be Tianyu. "What's the matter, is there something?" Sengoku asked. "It's like this, I met a pirate group, the Yuhi Heart Pirates. Their captain, Trafalgar Law, said that the world government invited him to become Shichibukai. I want to ask if this is true." Tianyu asked. "Ah, it's like this, plus the opponent's fruit ability can take out the heart of the activity, so it has a huge effect on the strength of the pacifist, so we agreed," Sengoku explained. "Okay, in this case, it's fine," Tianyu said. "By the way, since you met, let's come back together. He has a great influence on our plan." Tianyu also understood what Sengoku meant. "Don't worry, I know," Tianyu also replied, and then hung up the phone. "How? Are you sure of my identity?" Luo looked at Tianyu and asked. "Ah, it's confirmed. Then let's go with you. Anyway, You have to go to Marine headquarters, let me take a ride. Tianyu said. Welcome. Luo didn't say anything when he saw this. Next, the submarine also headed to the nearby island to replenish supplies. After the voyage, it came to an island, which was basically an island with no people. Even if someone saw the pirate ship coming, they fled immediately. Yuhi Heart pirates also brought the boat close to the island, and then came down to replenish the supplies. Tianyu didn't go down, stayed on the boat and basked in the sun, and Luo went off the boat, as if to see if there was anything he needed. At this time, a ship also returned from the New World to the first half of the Great Route. It was the pirate group controlled by Redfield. Have you finally come here? Humph, I'm here, the person with the ability to operate the fruit. Lay Durfield burst into laughter. Redfield's purpose is to be the person with the ability to operate the fruit. Luo, Redfield, who had read the Devil Fruit Pokédex at the beginning, also knew the ability of the Fruit of Operation. The person with the ability of this devil fruit can become the world's #1 doctor. At the same time, there is a secret that basically no one knows, and Redfield is the one who knows. Redfield, who has searched all the books, found a passage in an ancient book. 200 years ago, there was a person who wanted to get eternal life, so he was also frantically looking for the devil fruit, and finally he found it. Bato no mi, model, vampire, but he still died, because having youth does not mean having eternal life. Chapter 293 Coincidental Encounter. That ancient book recorded the information about the devil fruit Redfield ate. However, this was not what that person wanted. What he wanted was immortality, so he continued to look for it, using his power to restore youth, constantly. Search. Magazine, __. Finally, he found a clue. I don't know where he found a piece of news. Those who have the ability to eat the fruit of the operation, and those who are talented enough to use it, can give human beings eternal life, which is to perform immortality surgery. However, if this operation is performed, the capable person will die. However, this person did not find this devil fruit until he died. This devil fruit has not appeared for hundreds of years, so he failed and he died. Until now, the ancient book recorded was discovered by Redfield. After reading it, Redfield destroyed the ancient book, and then he also began to search for these two devil fruits, and finally, he gave it to him. Found, and both devil fruits appeared. This is the life that God wants to give me, eternal life. Ha 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 ha, ha 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 ha. Redfield immediately looked into the distance, as if he was about to see Luo's place. Sir, there is an island near us. We are running out of supplies on our ship. We want to supply supplies, what do you think? A pirate asked cautiously. Then go. Redfield did not disagree with their request. Thank you, sir. The pirate immediately showed a happy expression, and then returned to the control room to control the ship toward the island. The island they went to is the island where Luo's Yuhi Heart pirates stopped. It can only be said that this is a coincidence of fate. It seems that God is favoring Redfield, but is it really like this? Soon, the pirate ship that Redfield was on came to the island under their control. At this time, the Yuhi Heart pirates had just replenished their supplies and planned to leave. At this time, they also saw another one. The arrival of a pirate ship. Captain, another pirate ship is here. Beppo saw the situation immediately. Be alert, although they are likely to come here to supply, but other possibilities are not ruled out. Luo looked at Tianyu and knew that the other party would not take action, so he ordered, let's also set sail and prepare to leave here. Just in case. At this time, the other party's ship was also approaching here, and Luo's pirate ship was also moving. It seemed that when the two sides were about to miss, Redfield walked out of the cabin and saw Luo and the others, especially when he saw them. After Luo's pirates marked. Finally, I found you. Redfield looked at Lao with a stern smile. Seeing this, Luo was also ready to fight, although he didn't know who the other party was. He also remembered that he had not offended the other party. Let's go. After Redfield said to the pirates, he disappeared directly, and then appeared on Luo's pirate ship. When the pirates saw this, they didn't expect it to be so smooth. Then they reacted, and immediately turned the bow and left here. As for supplies, it's good to be alive. After seeing Redfield appear on his boat, Luo also looked serious, because he realized that he had not found the other party at all just now. I don't know, what is your matter with me? Haven't we met? Luo asked. He didn't want to fight for nothing. We really haven't seen each other. Redfield looked around and found Tianyu immediately, because he felt a strong breath, and immediately looked over. Marine Admiral. Redfield saw Tianyu. Interesting. It's really interesting that a Marine Admiral actually appeared on a pirate's ship, and looking at your appearance, you still coexist peacefully. Is it really surprising? You are the solitary Red, Earl Yuhi, S. Redfield, right? I didn't expect you to appear here. Looking at your appearance, you have regained your youthful appearance. This ability seems to be only devil fruit. Tianyu also recognized Redfield. That's right, as expected of Marine Admiral. If before, Redfield was a little afraid of Marine Admiral, but now, he has eaten the devil fruit, regained his youth, and has the power of youth, then he is not afraid of anyone, especially him fruit capacity. Devil fruit with this ability, have you finally found the devil fruit you dreamed of? Zone, mythical, Bado no Mi, model, vampire. It seems that you were really lucky. Tianyu thought. Read the information about Redfield. You know a lot. Redfield narrowed his eyes and looked at Tianyu. There is no way, a big man like you escaped from Impel Down. You must be familiar with your information. Redfield. Tianyu looked at Redfield. Is your place still vacant in Impel Down? How about it? Do you want to go back and sit down? Ha 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 ha, I'm a lonely reed. How can a place like Impel Down keep me locked up? I'm going to be One Piece, king of pirates. Come as a king, Kun is in the world. Lay Durfield self-confessed. Kun is in the world. Tianyu couldn't help laughing. This is something that even Roger, Whitebeard, and Golden Lion have not succeeded in, just you. It's not that I underestimate you, your strength has not surpassed them. Roger, Whitebeard and Golden Lion are losers. They lost to time, they lost to aging, and I'm different. I'm young, and soon will have eternal life. I have time to pursue it all. Redfield said confidently, completely ignoring Roger and the others. Luo, who was on the side, also changed his face after hearing what Redfield said about eternal life. He finally knew why the other party came to him specifically. He also knew the ability of the fruit of surgery, that is it, the ultimate surgery. Then there is no end to death. Luo thought to himself, and at the same time clenched the knife in his hand, ready to attack at any time. Just a guy like you, just stay for me in Impel Down. It just so happens that you are left alone there. As long as you are caught, there will be no fugitives in Impel Down. Tianyu said coldly. Are you the only admiral? Redfield said disdainfully. It's not that I underestimate you, you alone can't be my opponent. I've recovered my youth, but it's the peak moment. Even that guy is empty. Not my opponent. If the guy from Garp didn't come, the old guy from Sora would have died in my hands. Redfield was full of confidence. Chapter 294th War. After hearing Redfield's words, Luo's face became even more ugly. Although he didn't know about this, he didn't think the other party was lying, because the strong were disdainful of lying. Then the other party really defeated the original Marine. The existence of the Marshal also made Luo's heart sink. Square root miscellaneous G-bug square root. Luo's expression became ugly, and at the same time he couldn't help but look at Tianyu, because he was not sure whether Tianyu would make a move, and he might wait until the Marine powerhouse came before he made his move. These are all uncertain factors. There is no doubt that he is the weakest party. Tianyu also felt Luo's gaze, and couldn't help but say, don't worry. Even Dr. Vegapunk needs your ability, so I won't care about you, as long as your ability can be useful to our Marine after the fact. Tianyu's words finally dispelled Luo's concerns, and he couldn't help but feel relieved. At the same time, Redfield was also annoyed by Tianyu's words. Although he has recovered his strength, it does not mean that he wants to fight Marine Admiral and is imprisoned. After so many years, his fighting consciousness has inevitably diminished, which is absolutely fatal in the Battle of Masters. Looks like you won't hand him over to me. Redfield's face darkened. Of course, he is the person our Marine headquarters needs, so it is impossible to give him to you. Tianyu was also decisive, without the slightest retreat. Is it worth fighting me for a pirate? Redfield said unrelentingly. The fight that can be avoided is better to avoid. You don't have to worry about it anymore. Besides, you are a fugitive. When I met you, do you think I would let you go? Tianyu looked at Redfield. Okay, then let's see who will laugh at the end. Let you see my strength. Redfield was also angry. Go ashore. It's not conducive to fighting here. Tianyu said to Luo when he saw this. Beppo, dock, Luo ordered. Soon, the submarine returned to the island, and Tianyu and Redfield also came to the island at the same time, and came to the center of the island. The two stood opposite each other. Luo watched from a distance, and the others the people are on the submarine. This is not a battle they can participate in, they can only watch from a distance. The two were standing opposite each other 5 meters apart. Did anyone make a move first? The scene was very quiet. Even Luo watched from a distance and did not dare to make a sound. At this time, a gust of wind blew over and the two moved at the same time. The two rushed towards each other at the same time, stab. Redfield directly held his bat umbrella and stabbed towards Tianyu. Chakra-enhanced strength. Tianyu also used his strange strength without hesitation, punching Redfield with a punch. Boom! The two sides collided, the fist and the bat umbrella collided, neither of the two retreated, the aftermath of the huge force dispersed to the surrounding, the ground began to crack, and all the surrounding things shattered. Although Redfield was surprised by Tianyu's strength, he didn't care, because he also relied on the fighting technique to eat, and such strength was nothing to him. Tianyu was also surprised that Redfield's power was on par with him, but he didn't care, because Tianyu's most powerful power was his fruit ability. The two held each other, and then continued to fight against each other at a very fast speed. The two continued to fight at a high speed. The fast one could no longer see the figure, only the sound of the collision from both sides was heard, and then another pair. Boom! The two people stepped back at the same time, and the two people who stopped didn't breathe at all. Obviously, for the two of them, it was just a warm-up exercise. Armed air strike. Redfield rapped hockey directly, and then pointed at the air. A yuhi-colored shock wave suddenly came towards Tianyu. Adamantine forest call. Tianyu was no less inferior. With a casual move, a huge wooden Jinchuriki column slammed into the opponent. Boom! The attacks of the two sides collided, and then burst open one after another, obviously on a par. Diamond spear is broken. Tianyu waved his hand, and a large number of wooden spears stabbed towards Redfield. As if raining, the number is extremely large. Armed umbrella shield. In the face of such a large number of attacks, Redfield directly opened his bat umbrella without a hard block, and then wrapped armament hockey on it. Immediately, the bat umbrella's defensive power rose sharply. Clang! Dang! Dang! Tianyu's wooden spears stabbed all of Redfield's defense immediately, making a collision sound, but they didn't pierce Redfield's defense. This is normal. If it is so simple, solve him. If so, how could he compare to Roger and the others? After the attack, Redfield directly put away the bat umbrella. Nice strength. Now, let me show you my strength. A pair of bat wings appeared on Redfield's back, shining with metallic luster. It's coming. The voice just fell, and the whole person rushed over like lightning. Shinra Bansho, all creation. Tianyu also used the fruit ability, and a large number of thorns suddenly grew in front of him, and then went in the direction of Redfield. In the face of such an attack, Redfield also reacted very quickly. With a flash of his body, he appeared above the thorn bush, then went around and continued towards Tianyu. It's not over yet. Tianyu shouted. The thorns were under his control, and immediately launched a large number of thorns into the sky, heading towards Redfield. There was no way for Redfield to wrap his wings directly, and then he only heard the sound of ping. Scarlet bats. Redfield shouted, and then the whole person turned into a large number of small bats and came towards Tianyu. Diamond Spear is broken. In the face of such an attack, Tianyu also used a large number of attacks, a large number of wooden cones, to meet the bloody bats. The two sides collided continuously, but the defense of those bats was also extremely powerful. Tianyu's attack completely useless. A large number of bats are still coming towards Tianyu. Wooden formation wall. Tianyu formed a wooden defensive wall directly in front of him, and then the whole person immediately left the place. After the bats smashed the defensive wall, it also recovered together and became Redfield. How is it, kid? Do you know how strong I am? Redfield laughed. The battle has just begun. Are you just so arrogant? Or do you think you've already won? Tianyu looked at Redfield disdainfully. Okay, I hope you can say the same thing next. Redfield was also angry. The fight continues. Chapter 295 vs. Red the Aloof 2. Redfield turned into a blood-colored bat again and charged towards Tianyu. Do you think the same trick will still work for me? Tianyu said disdainfully. Shinra Bansho, all creation. A large number of vines grew wildly, and then entangled together to form a vine network, shrouding the blood-colored bat. Faced with such an attack, the scarlet bat did not evade in the slightest, perhaps because it did not think that the vine could break its own defense, so it slammed into it. At the moment when the blood-colored bats came into contact with the vine net, the vines surged wildly, and a large number of vines grew again, entangling the blood-colored bats that were in contact with them, and then wrapped them up to prevent them from escaping. A large number of blood-colored bats enveloped, while the vines began to absorb the power from the scarlet bat. At this time, Redfield also felt that something was wrong. He immediately touched the ability of the scarlet bat and returned to its original state. Standing not far from Tianyu, he looked at Tianyu with a gloomy expression. The big forest. Tianyu didn't stop at all, stretched out one hand, a large number of branches grew out of his hand, and then went to capture Redfield. Redfield is also slow, avoiding Tianyu's attack directly, then holding the bat umbrella a little forward, and sternly pointing towards Tianyu's eyebrows. If this move hits, even steel will also crushed. Tianyu ducked his head and stepped forward. He approached Redfield with a shoulder bump. Redfield was hit by Tianyu without hesitation, and Tianyu didn't hesitate. Punched in the past. However, Redfield, who had already reacted, used his speed directly, turned into a Yuhi-colored light in an instant, and left the place. Tianyu chased after him without hesitation, and then the two were fighting at close quarters. Neither of them had the ability to use them at this time, but they were fighting with their fighting technique. The two people moved while fighting, and the island became tattered. Boom! The two of them attacked with a punch, and then they saw that Redfield retreated. Tianyu didn't retreat at all, just gasped a little, while Redfield's mouth flowed out. There was a trace of blood, and it was obvious that he had fallen into a disadvantage in the battle just now. Wooden Dragon. Tianyu chased after the victory, formed a wooden dragon directly, then rode on it and chased towards Redfield. Kid, don't be too proud. Armed bat strike. I saw Redfield holding the bat umbrella, and then stabbed Tianyu, a huge bat-shaped attack, rushing towards the wooden dragon. Dragon's roar. I saw Mulong directly opened his mouth and spit out a breath, hitting the bat, making Redfield's attack a pause, and then Mulong bit it without hesitation, and was directly hit by the opponent. The attack shattered in one bite, and then the wooden dragon continued to head towards Redfield unabated. Don't underestimate people. Armed shock waves. Redfield was furious. He didn't expect that he would fall into the downwind so quickly, and he was immediately angry. He saw a huge shock wave pierced from the tip of the bat umbrella, heading towards the wooden dragon left. Boom! Even though the wooden dragon opened his mouth to bite it, the huge power still caused the shock wave to hit the wooden dragon. The entire wooden Long Yi was shattered inch by inch under such power, and Tianyu also fled from there, armed with chakra-enhanced strength. Tianyu jumped into the air, then stepped on the moon step and dived towards Redfield. Armed air strike. Redfield was not afraid of such an attack, and stabbed the bat umbrella directly. A Yuhi-colored energy came towards Tianyu. Boom! The two sides collided. Tianyu directly smashed Redfield's attack, and then continued to charge down. Scarlet bats. In the face of such an attack, Redfield directly turned into a large number of scarlet bats, and then evaded. Boom! At the moment when Redfield was dodging, Tianyu's fist hit the ground. The hard ground was directly smashed, and then formed a huge pit. Tianyu came out of the pit with a dodge, come across from Redfield. The battle continues. Warm-up is over. Blood whip. Redfield formed a blood-colored whip in his hand and swung towards Tianyu. Tianyu dodged in a flash, only to see that the ground that was beaten was corroded in an instant, and then the blood whip continued to beat Tianyu under Redfield's control. Vine whip. Tianyu also used the same method. The whip formed by the vines, under Tianyu's control, went towards the blood whip, and both sides were constantly attacking. Downwind. Seeing this, Redfield also took the blood whip, and saw that he continued to charge towards Tianyu, bat flying attack. A large number of bats appeared from behind him and came towards Tianyu's difference. What's different? Tianyu didn't try it at all. Shinra Bansho, all creation. Tianyu still used the same trick. A lot of vines grew, and then blocked the bat. At the moment of contact, the bats turned into a corrosive liquid. The vines were corroded directly, and then bats came towards Tianyu. Tianyu could not let these things get close, and directly controlled the crazy growth of the vines, completely surrounding those bats, so they can't get close. At this time, Redfield has rushed over. Boy, you've revealed your flaws. Armed air strike. A colored energy rushed out of Redfield's bat umbrella and hit Tianyu's heart. Elementalization. Tianyu had no choice but to elementalize and avoided it, but he was caught by Redfield, but he still didn't fully escape. He was injured, and there was blood flowing from the corner of Tianyu's mouth. You can't be so arrogant. The wooden dragon dances wildly. Tianyu directly controlled the 3 wooden dragons and appeared in front of Redfield, then rushed towards him. Do you think this is my opponent? You're still tender, kid. Redfield flashed to a wooden dragon and swept away with armament hockey's bat umbrella, but the wooden dragon didn't react. It was shattered, and the remaining 2 wooden dragons had already bitten up. The rest of the wooden dragon directly bit Redfield, but it couldn't bite at all. It turned out that Redfield had wrapped himself with his wings, and also used armament hockey to harden his whole body. It was tightly entangled, the seal of the dragon, and the 2 wooden dragons immediately suppressed Redfield. Chapter 296 vs. Red the Aloof 3. After a few seconds, the suppressed Redfield finally broke out from the inside. Boom. A cracking sound sounded. Redfield covered his whole body with armament hockey, and then broke through with the bat umbrella. However, at this time, Tianyu had long been waiting for him. Screw-sharp gun. A spiral wooden gun stabbed directly towards Redfield's heart. When Redfield came out, he knew that there would definitely be an attack waiting for him, so at this time, he was not surprised by Tianyu's attack, and the bat umbrella in his hand came to the front of Tianyu's attack from a strange angle. Against Tianyu's attack. However, the result was unsurprising. One was a long-prepared attack, the other was a hasty response. Redfield was knocked out without any accident. Even though he had made a defense, he still faced Tianyu's attack. Inevitably, his internal organs were shaken, and he spit out a mouthful of blood when he flew upside down. Redfield has not yet stood firm. Tianyu's attack is coming again. Facing such continuous attacks, Redfield also has no choice. The whole person turned into a bat, dodged away. Tianyu's attack was also in vain. Then the 2 were confronted again. At this time, Redfield also knew that with the fruit ability, he would definitely not be Tianyu's opponent. After all, his devil fruit ability mainly affects his body. Fighting if you use it for the first time, it's still too weak. If you use it for the first time, it will have no effect at all, so Redfield also intends to use the fighting technique to fight. After all, his most powerful is the fighting technique. Thinking of this, Redfield rushed out instantly, turned into a colored light, and rushed towards Tianyu. The bat umbrella in his hand also pointed directly at Tianyu. Seeing Redfield's action, Tianyu also knew what he was thinking. Do you want to fight with me in the fighting technique? I'm not afraid at all. Tianyu also didn't retreat at all. Armament hockey entangled, and then slammed it with a punch. Tianyu punched Redfield's bat umbrella, blocked the bat umbrella, and then punched directly at Redfield. Redfield kicked out directly. Facing such an attack, Tianyu also changed the direction of his fist and punched the opponent's foot. Boom! The two of them retreated at the same time, and then rushed forward at Zaidu. The two of them quickly attacked each other. Redfield didn't care about defense at all, or his fruit ability gave him strong confidence. After all, as long as he sucks blood, he can recover, so he is not afraid of long battles at all. Tianyu is similar too. After all, Tianyu's fruit ability can bring powerful recovery ability, so Tianyu also gave up defense completely. Both of them were covered with armament hockey and kept fighting. Armed chakra enhanced strength. Tianyu unhesitatingly hit his most powerful punch, which can be said to be Tianyu's full strength punch. Armament hockey, coupled with the explosion of strange power, can definitely shatter a mountain. Armed air strike. Redfield still used his bat umbrella to stab at Tianyu, and the UV-colored shockwave also stabbed towards Tianyu's fist. Boom! The two sides collided. Tianyu's fist directly shattered the shockwave, and then he punched Redfield's bat umbrella. He didn't know what material his umbrella was made of, but he completely accepted Tianyu's punch, and also no big deal. However, this was Tianyu's full-strength punch after all, and Redfield still took a few steps backwards, which also made him a little embarrassed. After all, he actually fell into a disadvantage. At this time, Tianyu bullied himself up again and headed towards the retreating Redfield. At the same time, he also activated his fruit ability, Wood Entanglement. I saw the vines grow silently, and then wrapped around Redfield. Field's feet. Oops! At the moment when he was entangled, Redfield realized that he stabbed without hesitation and smashed those vines. However, at this time, Tianyu's attack arrived, and Redfield was too late. You can only hold the bat umbrella across your chest. At this time, Tianyu's punch arrived, the fist was printed on the bat umbrella, and then, the power exploded, boom. The huge power directly bent the bat umbrella, and at the same time, the recoil also hit Redfield. His chest also caused him to vomit a large mouthful of blood. Redfield stepped back directly, guarding against Tianyu's surprise attack. Tianyu didn't step forward again. Redfield also took the opportunity to check his injury. His heart sank and his internal organs were aching. Obviously, the injury was not minor. Tree-bind flourishing burial. Tianyu used his fruit ability at this time, and a tree appeared directly behind Redfield, winding towards him. You underestimate me. The same trick doesn't work. Redfield found out the moment the tree appeared, and then avoided it at a direct speed. He also knew that he was not Tianyu's opponent. Then he can only fight with his speed. Compared with his speed, his devil fruit ability has absolute blessing, and he also has absolute confidence. Redfield opened his speed all at once and used all his strength. Tianyu's attacks could not touch the opponent, and he was evaded by him at a very fast speed. At the same time, he also disturbed Tianyu a little with his very fast speed. After seeing Redfield's limit speed, Tianyu didn't plan to compete with the opponent, and although Tianyu's speed was not slow, at least he couldn't catch up with Redfield, so Tianyu didn't go up. The hand of the wooden man. Tianyu directly used the restraint trick. In an instant, 4 huge palms appeared on the ground, and then shrouded Redfield. The huge palms also prevented Redfield from escaping. Possible. The huge palms slowly moved closer to each other. In the face of such an attack, Redfield's speed was also limited, and there was nothing he could do for a while. Catch you. Tianyu laughed, and at the same time, the huge palms also surrounded Redfield. With 4 palms, Redfield was directly wrapped. At this moment, Redfield moved, although his bat umbrella has been bent by Tianyu and cannot be used, but his fighting technique is still very powerful. Armed blood wheel. Redfield shot out with a direct hit, and a roulette-like attack was hit by him, directly smashing the siege of the wooden palm, and then he fled out, and the giant palm suddenly lost its effect. But Tianyu is not discouraged, because he is ready to use the time just now. Chapter 297 versus Red the Aloof 4. By the time Redfield escaped the siege, Tianyu's attack was already waiting for him. Magazine, __. World of Trees Wall. A large number of trees formed around Redfield in an instant. Redfield's face changed drastically in an instant, and he hurriedly ran outside. However, it was too late at this time. In just an instant, a forest had formed, and the endless trees had completely surrounded him, and he could no longer see the sun. Now, the forest covers all directions without the slightest gap. Luo, who was watching from the side, also changed his face greatly in the face of such an attack. He never thought that there would be such an attack, but changed the terrain in an instant. It's really a terrifying power. Sure enough, Logia those who are capable are monsters. This power that changes the world. Luo was also shocked. Inside the forest, Tianyu, who had been prepared for a long time, had blocked all the routes. Even though Redfield used observation hockey, he couldn't sense where the exit was. Under Tianyu's control, these trees just there quietly, without the slightest movement, but Redfield doesn't think these are just decorations. Redfield tried to smash a tree, and then immediately grew a tree in its original position. Is this going to kill me? Redfield thought to himself, and his expression was a little heavy. After all, a war of attrition is something that no one wants. No matter how strong you are, you can deal with 10 people, 100 people, 1,000 people, so what about 10,000 people? What about 100,000 people? What about millions of people? No one can have so many people at once, so Redfield's face is a little ugly. Besides, there is no blood to replenish him, which also cuts off his devil fruit ability. Then, now is the time. Tianyu outside the forest saw that he had already controlled the forest at this time, so he also started to act. At this moment, the forest moved, all the forests began to move in Redfield's eyes, and countless trees began to surge wildly. Redfield was also ready to attack. Whoosh! A huge branch moved and slammed towards Redfield. It was like a signal, and the surrounding trees also moved, and a large number of trees slammed towards Redfield. Air strike. Redfield punched directly, smashing the trees in front of him, and then a large number of trees came up. Redfield kept attacking, punch after punch, kick after kick, trees cracked up and up again, endlessly. Redfield kept attacking, but these trees did not decrease in the slightest. Bastard! Armed crit. Redfield was also angry at such an attack, and he directly attacked the forest in front of him. With a boom, I walked forward, trying to make a way. At this time, more trees were entangled, and they were entangled towards Redfield. Get out of the way. Armed with Yuhi's light. A huge shock wave rushed forward and shattered directly. All the trees in front showed a large gap. Redfield's eyes lit up, and he rushed over like lightning, directly dashing for a long distance. However, what he didn't know was that the size of the forest was not fixed. As long as the distribution of trees was controlled, then Redfield would be white. Just work hard. Redfield also seemed to feel something, because after such a long time, he still did not rush out of the forest, but fell into it even more. Now he has wasted a lot of physical strength. If it continues like this, I am afraid he is really going to lose. Redfield suddenly seemed to remember something. Humph. I know the weakness of this trick. I don't believe you can stop me. Redfield sneered. Tianyu, who was controlling the forest outside the forest, also heard Redfield's words and didn't care, but he had a bad premonition in his heart, feeling that Redfield really discovered the weakness of this move. Armed Yuhi Kazuki Kiba. I saw Redfield charged up a bit, ignoring the trees that took the opportunity to slam, and shot straight towards the sky. A wave of Yuhi Kazuki Kiba, like energy, immediately rushed towards the sky. As expected of the old guy left over from the previous era. Did you discover the weakness of this move so quickly? Tianyu also discovered Redfield's movement. Yes, it is the sky, the effect of trees on the sky after all, the defense is still a lot weaker. As long as the speed is fast enough, it is absolutely possible to rush out of this forest field before being surrounded. I saw that the Yui color energy emitted by Redfield directly shattered the blocking trees in the sky, revealing a large gap, and the sky outside could be seen directly. Good opportunity. Based on his conjecture, he reproduced his bat wings at the fastest speed, and then flew out in an instant. At this time, the forest reacted, but it was too late. Redfield had already escaped from this field. As expected of the lonely Red. You escaped from my domain so quickly. I have to say, you are still very powerful. Tianyu praised Redfield, who flew out of the forest domain. Redfield also came not far from Tianyu and didn't say anything. Although he escaped, he was using a lot of physical strength. After all, the succession of big moves was also very physical. At this time, Redfield suddenly moved and ran into the distance. Run away. Tianyu was also surprised when he saw Redfield's appearance, and then his face changed. Tianyu suddenly remembered something, because the direction of Redfield's escape was the pirate ship of the Yui Heart Pirates. Where he is, then his actions are already obvious. Thinking of this, Tianyu also instantly moved, chasing after Redfield, and shouting to Luo in the distance, "Hurry up and let your companion dive to the bottom of the sea, he can recover his strength by sucking blood." Hearing Tianyu's shouting, Luo's expression changed. He didn't think Tianyu was lying, and immediately shouted loudly, "Babo, everyone is diving." After hearing Luo's voice, Babo and the others also reacted immediately. However, the scope of this island is not large after all, and with Redfield's speed, they soon came to Bibi and the others. No, it's too late to dive. Luo was extremely anxious. Jump into the sea. In an emergency, Tianyu thought of a solution. Chapter 298 verses Read the Aloof 5. Babo and the others who heard Tianyu's words jumped into the sea without hesitation after seeing the menacing Redfield showing a malicious look towards them. Fortunately, none of them have devil fruit abilities and are not afraid of the sea. Everyone did not hesitate to dive into the sea. Square root miscellaneous G-bug square root. At this time, Redfield also arrived here, but he was still one step late, and no one was on the pirate ship. He was also a devil fruit person, and it was impossible to enter the sea, which also meant that he could not rely on drain blood to replenish stamina and restore strength. At this time, Tianyu also came to Redfield. "Fortunately, I suddenly remembered your devil fruit ability, otherwise, the outcome of this battle would be difficult to say." Tianyu looked at Redfield with a smile. Humph. Redfield couldn't help but snorted and didn't say anything. He knew that he had no chance to suck blood. As for Luo, he didn't think about it. After all, Luo is also in existence with a reward of 200 million berry. He succeeded in sucking blood with one move, not to mention Tianyu was staring at him. "Now I'm on guard against you. So, you can only keep fighting," Tianyu said. "Then, just give me death." Air strike. Redfield shot directly at Tianyu with a shock wave. Wooden wall. Tianyu directly blocked Redfield's attack with a wooden defensive wall, and then the whole person stepped on the shaver and disappeared directly in place. Seeing Tianyu's disappearance, Redfield also became vigilant, but suddenly he punched backwards. At this time, Tianyu appeared behind Redfield and kicked out. Boom! Tianyu kicked Redfield's fist with a powerful kick. The huge force directly kicked Redfield out, and then Tianyu caught up with Redfield who was flying backwards without hesitation. Thorn kill. A sharp thorn grew directly in his hand, stabbing towards Redfield. Air strike. Redfield didn't even think about it. He attacked directly, blocking Tianyu for a moment, and then the whole person immediately stood firm. Tianyu also punched up, and the two came to the island again. The center fought and stayed away from the location of the pirate ship. After the battle was far away, "Come out. It's safe for now," Luo said. Babo immediately got out of the sea, breathing heavily, almost died. Others also came out of the sea and came to the shore. "Captain, why is that guy arresting us?" Does he want to take us as hostages? Beppo wondered. He didn't think Marine would take pirates hostages in his eyes. No, he is Bado no mi. I guess he can recover his strength or injury by sucking other people's blood. Luo said his guess. Ah, it's scary. After Beppo heard this, he immediately returned to the boat. Let's dive quickly, otherwise, he will come again. That's right, let's dive. Just in case. Luo also agreed with Beppo's idea. What about you, Captain? Luo's crew then asked. Me, of course I can't miss this level of battle. Luo's face also showed an excited expression. Don't worry. My strength will not be sucked by him so easily. You should know me, the devil fruit ability. Luo was extremely confident in his ability. Captain, you must be careful. Babo and the others did not persuade Luo when they saw this. They also knew about Luo's fruit ability. Then, they controlled the submarine to dive into the sea, just observing through the observation glass. Seeing this, Luo also felt relieved, and then focused on watching this rare battle. Tianyu and Redfield is still going on. In the current situation, Tianyu has the upper hand. Redfield also has wounds of various sizes. Although it is not fatal, it means Redfield Field is no match for Tianyu. The two attacked each other and then backed away from each other. Tianyu was also out of breath for Vivi, and Redfield was even worse. He didn't have the supplement of blood-sucking ability, so it was also a lot worse. After all, in terms of strength, he's still not Tianyu's opponent. Wooden Dragon. Tianyu didn't waste any time, directly controlled a wooden dragon, and rushed towards Redfield. Armed Yuhi Seui Kiba. Redfield was also not to be outdone. An energy wave like the moon Kiba slashed directly towards the wooden dragon. Roar! The wooden dragon roared, and then directly collided with Yuhi Seui Kiba. The wooden dragon directly wrapped around the opponent, and then bit up, boom. Redfield's attack was directly bitten by the wooden dragon, and then the dragon's tail swung toward Redfield. Redfield directly avoided the blow, boom. The ground was directly hit by the wooden dragon and a crack opened, and then the wooden dragon continued to move towards Redfield. At this time, Tianyu also rushed over and punched Lei. Redfield called. With Tianyu's fist in front, and the wooden dragon's pursuit in the back, Redfield had no choice but to face Tianyu's attack, and at the same time covered armament hockey behind his back to resist the attack. Boom! The wooden dragon slapped Redfield's back with a tail, spit out a mouthful of blood from Redfield, and then Tianyu's attack arrived, and Redfield, regardless of the injury, punched him. Boom _____________________________________________________________________________________________________________________ the wooden dragon was punched directly to the ground by Redfield, and then Redfield punched again, directly shattering the wooden dragon. After finishing all this, Redfield disappeared again, and then Tianyu chased after him. Big forest. I saw a huge wooden net shrouded towards Redfield. Although Redfield was fast, he was still entangled. At this time, it was Tianyu's chance. Armed chakra enhanced strength. Tianyu punched directly without using other time-wasting tricks. Boom! Although Redfield reacted, he hadn't evaded this move, but he still used his left arm as a resistance. Crack! Redfield's left arm bone was directly broken, and his left hand was scrapped. At this time, Redfield also left the wooden net. At the same time, he looked at his broken left arm, and his face was ugly. He is a strong fighting technique. This kind of injury still has a certain impact on him. Redfield was already thinking about running away. Chapter 299 vs. Red the Aloof, 6. The battle has reached this point, and Redfield already has the idea of running away. After all, he has just escaped from Impel Down and gained freedom. Besides, there is nothing more precious than freedom, so he doesn't want to fight anymore, he wants to get out of here. As for Luo, as long as he leaves here, there will still be a chance to catch him, so it's impossible to have Admiral accompanying him all the time, right? So Redfield made up his mind, thought of this, and acted directly. Redfield directly transformed into a bat, and then flew towards the sky with lightning speed. I've been on guard for you. Seeing Redfield fleeing so quickly, Tianyu said, he had guessed it long ago. Gate of the Great God. As Tianyu used his abilities, he saw a huge wooden door, falling from the sky and shrouded in the huge bath that Redfield transformed into, directly covering all the escape directions of Redfield. Seeing this, Redfield reluctantly turned into his original form, and did not try to escape again. Now is not a good opportunity to escape, and the other party has the ability to stop him at all times. Luo, who was watching the battle, was also anxious when he saw Redfield flee, and planned to go forward to block the opponent, even if it was only for a moment, because Luo knew that Redfield already knew his demon fruit ability, so once he escapes, then Luo will face the endless pursuit of Redfield in the future, which is what Luo does not want to face, although he does not want to admit it, but Luo has been in a long period of time. It wasn't Redfield's opponent, but when he saw Tianyu blocking Redfield, Luo couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. "Boy, are you sure you want to stop me?" Redfield said angrily after being blocked by Tianyu. "Look at what you said," Tianyu said with a playful smile, "first a Marine Admiral. Since I met you, can I still let you go?" "Okay, since you don't make me feel better, I won't let you go." Redfield was also angry, but he didn't give up his life. Continue to fight. Wooden Man. Tianyu used his ultimate move directly, and a huge wooden man appeared in front of Redfield immediately. A huge knife also appeared in the wooden man's hand, standing majestically. In front of Redfield, Tianyu looked at him condescendingly, without a trace of emotion in his eyes. Damn it! Redfield's face became ugly when faced with Tianyu's tricks. Such a huge body brings absolute power. Although his speed is definitely not fast, he should not be underestimated. Cut. Tianyu stood on the wooden figurine, directly controlled the wooden figurine to pull out the knife, and then slashed it down. Redfield also dodged immediately. Boom! The huge knife light flashed, and the dazzling light suddenly shone into Luo's eyes, who was watching the battle, and couldn't help but narrowed his eyes. Redfield was also taken aback by the huge power. Although he knew that the power of the wooden man would definitely be great, it was not so great. He saw a huge crack on the ground there, moving all the way to the distance. Extending until the hill in the distance, the hill was also split by a knife. It can be said that the power of this move has traversed the entire island. Damn, you must not be hit by this trick, otherwise, you will definitely die. Redfield also watched this scene in horror, and felt the threat of death in his heart. No matter what Redfield thought, Tianyu continued to shoot without hesitation. The wooden man continued to wave the knife in his hand, and then chopped it down again. Redfield also kept evading, one after another knife marks. There are cracks all over the island directly. Seeing that Redfield was dodging so quickly, Tianyu also controlled the wooden man's left hand to form a huge wooden knife again. Then, the double knife slashed, the power and attack range suddenly increased, and Redfield was also more difficult to avoid. Crack! Just as Redfield was dodging, he accidentally stepped on a rock, and his body twisted. Although he reacted immediately, he was still seized by the wooden man. The two knives slashed straight down and came directly towards Redfield. Knowing that Redfield, who could not escape this time, was also bloody, armed Red Shockwave. The two swords that were cut down hit him with a single blow, using his most powerful strength. The two knives fell, collided with Redfield's attack, and then only heard the sound of boom. Billowing smoke rose, directly covering the area, and then the scene inside could not be seen. Tianyu made two more slashes without hesitation, and slashed with two huge slashes, heading towards the area. The island also kept roaring, and there was a faint trend of shattering. After a while, the smoke finally dissipated, revealing the figure inside. At the same time, Tianyu also moved in his heart and directly controlled the wooden dragon hanging from the neck of the wooden man to silently go towards Redfield. The smoke dissipated, and Redfield also appeared in front of Tianyu. Redfield's condition was not very good. A fork was directly cut off by the wooden man's slash at the chest. Ragged and bleeding, but his beating heart showed he was alive, albeit in bad condition. Tianyu directly controlled the wooden man to come to Redfield, looking down at him, Redfield also raised his head and looked at Tianyu. At this moment, the wooden man quietly rushed out of the ground, and then wrapped around Redfield, because Tianyu attracted Redfield's attention, so Redfield did not escape, and was directly given by the wooden dragon. It was wrapped tightly, not to mention that Redfield didn't have much strength to avoid it. Redfield, who was entangled by the wooden dragon, also broke free, and then did not break free, but also stopped, not moving, just quietly looking at Tianyu, as if thinking about something, a little hesitant, and a little tangled. You lost. Redfield. Tianyu stood on the wooden man and looked at Redfield. I lost. The winner is the king, and the loser is the thief. I have nothing to say. Redfield still faced his failure calmly, without blaming others. Then, you should know your fate. You are ready to go to hell. Tianyu directly controlled the wooden man and raised the giant sword in his hand. Chapter 300 verses Red the Aloof, 7. Tianyu controlled the wooden man to raise the giant sword in his hand, and then had a tendency to cut it directly. At this moment, Redfield couldn't help it. At miscellaneous GG worm at. Wait. Redfield couldn't help shouting. When faced with the threat of death, he had already made up his mind. Only living is the best. If you die, there will be nothing. Although he is called the Lonely Red, who can be called the same character as Whitebeard, but he is definitely the most afraid of death, which can be seen from the way he has been searching for eternal life. What? Is there anything else you want to say? Tianyu looked at Redfield, and at the same time, the huge wooden knife swung down temporarily stopped. Yes, I have a secret, a big secret. As long as you let me go, I will tell you. Redfield still intends to say it in the face of the threat of death. Just say it. Let's see if it's worth your life. Tianyu was going to see what Redfield could say, although he had already guessed what he might say. Okay, I said, do you want to have eternal life? Redfield looked straight at Tianyu. His tone was full of fanaticism. When Luo heard Redfield's words, his face instantly turned pale. Change, and immediately walked towards here. Eternal life. Tianyu looked at Redfield with a funny look, but he didn't expect that he would guess it. Isn't this Redfield's biggest secret? At the same time, Tianyu also looked at Luo, who came over and didn't say anything. Yes, eternal life. I'm afraid you also know that I was looking for devil fruits before I was caught and impelled down, right? Redfield was relieved when he saw Tianyu was interested. In his opinion, now life can be saved. You know, aren't you looking for that zone, mythical, Bado no Mi, model, vampire? Isn't it eaten by you now? Tianyu said, who had also read the information about Redfield. That's right, I've been looking for this devil fruit, and at the same time, I found it some time ago, so, as you can see, I've regained my youth and my youth. But that doesn't mean my life is eternal. Immortality and immortality are two concepts. I have achieved immortality now, but I have not yet achieved immortality. How about it? I tell you the secret of immortality, and you spare my life. How about it? Think about it. Redfield immediately tempted Tianyu. In his opinion, no one can refuse the secret of longevity. Longevity, Tianyu said. At this time, Luo's expression on the side was extremely ugly. He didn't think anyone could refuse this temptation. Isn't that what Doflamingo is like? So he is ready to escape, even if the possibility of escape is very small. He does not want to die now. Mr. Corazone's revenge has not been avenged. The immortality you're talking about is actually the immortality surgery performed by the person with the ability to perform surgery. At the expense of the person's life, this operation is performed for another person. Tianyu told the secret directly. How? How did you know? Redfield was suddenly surprised. He never thought that someone would know this secret. Luo also looked at Tianyu in surprise. At the same time, he became more prepared. He left Tianyu and got ready for the battle. You don't need to guard me like this. Tianyu looked at Luo and said, to be honest, everyone is interested in immortality. But as long as I think about it, I am immortal by myself, while my wife and my children are not immortal. In this case, I can only watch them grow old and die in front of me, and I am the only one left to survive. What a cruel thing. So, I refuse to live forever. Said here, Tianyu has already without hesitation, more firm. Hearing Tianyu's firm tone, Luo also involuntarily believed him, and at the same time put down his guard against Tianyu. Luo didn't think Tianyu was lying. You actually gave up immortality. Redfield looked at Tianyu as if he was looking at a fool. You know what? That's eternal life. Redfield couldn't believe that someone would refuse such a thing. This is he never thought of it. Without your family, you can't know the importance of home. I chose my wife and my newly born daughter, so I don't want to face everyone dying, and I'm the only one left in the world. No, I'm so sorry. Your secret can't save your life. Tianyu said here, raised the huge wooden knife in the wooden man's hand again, and chopped it down without hesitation. No. Redfield was terrified after looking at the wooden knife that was chopped down. In the end, as the knife was swung down, Redfield's voice disappeared, leaving only a huge crack, and Redfield's broken body. Redfield died. The man who had been pursuing immortality died. After dealing with Redfield, Tianyu also touched the wooden man, then stood on the ground, looked at Redfield's body without speaking, and finally buried his body. At the same time, Tianyu still shot Redfield. Field's death form proves his death. After dealing with Redfield, Tianyu also walked towards Luo. Let's go. Deal with him. Then let's go back to Marine headquarters. Tianyu looked at Luo and said. Luo also looked at Tianyu, and then walked towards the direction of his own boat. Luo didn't say anything along the way, as if he was thinking about something, and when he came to the coast, Babo and the others also floated the submarine. Captain, you're all right. Right, Beppo asked worriedly. Although they didn't hear the last conversation, they were still a little worried when they saw Luo like this. Ah, it's all right, Luo replied when he saw this. By the way, are you injured? Do you want to get some treatment? Luo still asked Tianyu. No, my injury is no big deal. Besides, it will be healed soon. Tianyu came to the boat, revealing the wound on his body. He saw that the wound was recovering quickly, and the wound would disappear soon. Monster. When Luo saw this, he also complained directly. With such a strong strength, he still has such a strong resilience. If anyone fought him, he would have to drag him to death. After that, Luo also replied. The ship then started sailing, continuing towards the marine headquarters. Boom, boom. Just as Tianyu and the others were leaving, the island that had just gone through the battle was finally overwhelmed and shattered, forming several small areas of different sizes.